The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey,
What?
let's go!
This show sticks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers,
You pig!
damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this New Champs Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. This program starts now.
Sports!
Are the greatest thing on earth. Sports make us all feel better whenever we're going through stuff. Sports unify the entire world, and sports crown champions in new places every single year, seemingly. Last night, two new teams are able to celebrate being the greatest in the world at their particular sport. We'll start the College World Series. Tennessee Volunteers, congrats. We'll break that down in a matter of moments.
Hell yeah.
We'll also have Carl Ravitch, obviously baseball legend from ESPN, who was on the call last night for the third game in the best-of-3 series in which the Tennessee Volunteers became champs. He'll be joining us in the second hour. And then, down in South Florida, ladies and gentlemen, we knew history was going to be made. If the Edmonton Oilers were able to get the big Game 7 win down in Florida, they'd be the first team since 1942 to go down 3-0 in a series and then come storming back and win 4 straight in a Stanley Cup championship. Instead, it's the first time since 1945 that a team has been up 3, then given up 3, and then win in Game 7, and that's the Florida Panthers, who are Stanley Cup champions for the first time in the franchise.
Go, boys.
It was a cagey affair. It was a great game. 2-1. They end up getting the big time dub. Bobrovsky, Kachuk, Barkov, and the boys have been celebrating all night and all morning with the Stanley Cup down there in South Florida. We will visit some of the scenes down there and where Lordo is taking some trips to. Shout out to the Elbow Room, seemingly being the hub of the Stanley Cup and also the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not alone here today. No, I'm with a great group of dudes. The Talks Table's here. At Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. And we're calling this New Champs Tuesday, and obviously it's because the Florida Panthers are brand new champions, and the Tennessee Volunteers are brand new college baseball champions. But also joining us today in the second hour, Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. First time he has won a Lario championship. Con man, you got to be pretty excited.
Yeah, I feel fantastic at a press conference earlier today, too. Said a lot about the future of the Celtics. So I have a feeling that might have to make some room on this stage for a couple more of these real, very legitimate Larry O'Brien trophies.
Well, that might not be the only trophies that need to be made some room on this particular stage, and not because of one half of the Hammer, Dahn, Cowboys, Tone Diggs, and the teams that he cheers for. No. It's because there's a 9-year NFL vet, a man who's been a diehard The Hockey fan for a long, long time. Darius J. Butler. Congrats on the Stanley Cup, D-Butt. You got Lordo, pal, down in South Florida, and it's because of fans like you. Gary Bettman said it while he was handing out. Gary Bettman, commissioner of the NHL, gave a couple great speeches last night afterwards. Looked a little bit nervous early when he was talking about the Conn Smythe because he was about to award it to an opposing team player, and Connor McDavid, who ended up winning the Conn Smythe. First time since 19-something, forever. 4 goaltenders, and now 2 players have been able to win the Conn Smythe, which is the MVP of the NHL playoffs throughout its entirety without winning the Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid wins it. Gary Bettman had to give that speech in Florida's barn about somebody else winning it when they all wanted Bobrovsky, the goalie of the Panthers, to win. Turns out, voting-wise, he was like 4th on the list. He wouldn't have won it anyways. But then Gary Bettman cut an entire promo about the Florida Panthers franchise and the team and the fans and the ownership. And then he handed that Lordo off to Barkov. And he said multiple times, aside from the players, the most important part of this entire championship run has been the fans of the Florida Panthers, which you've certainly been one of them. So congrats,
Go, D-Butch.
D-Butch. It was a loud barn. A lot of people thought it was going to be an Edmonton Oilers home game because how many tickets were sold. And videos on the internet before the game with a lot of Oilers fans walking in there. A lot of Florida Panther red in there, and that place was loud. Congrats to you guys, D-Butch.
I was never worried about them. Glad some people made some money selling their tickets to other Florida fans. Obviously, and Chucky talked about it last time he was on the show, how special the environment's been, how the energy's been down there. It was people texting me, calling me, my brother, my friends down there kind of in the areas celebrating, and like people who never watched hockey, who's never into hockey until a couple years ago or 3 or 4 years ago. You boys, shout out to you boys, really get me, into the game. Obviously, they've been down there 30 years now, so to win it, just bring that energy. Obviously, Dolphins are on the clock now, but hey, shout out to the Panthers, Chucky, Barkey, who survived.
30 years.
Barkey survived the nasty fall yesterday. All the odds were against us. The coin. Roberto Luongo, we were talking trash about him. He reversed the coast. He came out.
Congrats to him. Big win in Game 7 for Luongo.
He beat the shit out of that drum, man. Bob obviously stood on his head. Obviously, Rhino, game winning goal. Swaggy got to start, always shows up when we need him most, man. But shout out to the guys, man. Bill Zito, obviously, you saw how emotional he's been throughout the whole playoff run, but then to see it, just him kind of let it all out and celebrate. Paul Maurice as well gave a legendary kind of post game speech, man. But the sport is awesome. Obviously, a lot of new people talking about it. I don't know about your timelines, your outgoes, but a lot of new guys and gals are getting into the game, so it's great for the sport. Obviously, this show I think has a huge part of it as well. Obviously, what ESPN is doing. But hey, shout out to the game. Shout out to the Panthers. Hey. For you guys, man.
That's right. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers getting a chance to experience Lordo for the first time in its 30-year history. I had no idea you guys were down there for 30 years. 30 years. I think if it's been 30 years.
Wow.
Go ahead and have yourself a nice Modelo.
Waited long
out of the top of the Lordo.
Baby.
Just like the boys are doing down in South Florida as we speak right now. None of the Panthers have slept. They've seemingly have been living large. Congrats, D-Bud.
Great day, D-Bud.
Got to chug that thing.
Good chug.
If you're going to be doing white boy shit, you got to do it. Yeah, that baby, D-Bud.
That's hockey.
Let's go, baby.
That is, I hope it tasted damn good. I hope you savored every single drop.
Delicious.
There's a chance it never happens again, and that's the greatness of the Stanley Cup. And Gary Bettman talked about the 120-year history of the Stanley Cup and how it's the first Finnish captain that has ever led their team to a Stanley Cup championships. And Barkov, he actually said that in the speech. And then he talked about, obviously, South Florida getting it for the first time. And you said there's a lot of new people talking about the sport. It's incredible because hockey is awesome. Yeah. But I think it's also because South Florida wins it. Miami obviously has a lot of humans in it. Yeah. Miami has a lot of notable people that probably aren't normally hockey fans. But right now, they're all getting a chance to celebrate something. And people enjoy celebrating shit. Yeah. And if you can enjoy and celebrate a Stanley Cup, but especially the environments that have been created down there, good for hockey, good for South Florida, good for the Panthers. Florida is now home to like 3 of the last 5 champs in hockey. With Tampa obviously winning a couple. Now Florida Panthers winning one. It's like, is Florida the new state of hockey? Minnesota's not going to be happy.
No, they're not.
Pissed.
Michigan's not going to be happy about that. Pennsylvania's not going to be thrilled about anything, but Florida is seemingly the place for champions. Arizona has a lot of ex-NHL guys who kind of all live there, and their kids play hockey there. And Arizona State, I think hockey is kind of on the rise. They got nothing on Florida. Florida just wins Stanley Cups. Yep. That's literally seemingly what Florida does, and hopefully that'll change, and hopefully a real hockey town will win.
Whoa.
No.
You're right. You're right.
No, and when we talk about real hockey towns, I mean,
did you see that live shot from Las Olas Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale Beach? That's palm trees, ocean. I mean, that's hockey town if I ever seen it.
Listen, D-Bud is obviously feeding the narrative here, but with the celebration that's been taking place down there, I got nothing but respect for how South Florida is celebrating this. And the boys have been taking it. Obviously, the Elbow Room has made some appearances. Kachuk's got a WWE title around his waist. He is also drowning people in beer from the Stanley Cup from the second floor of the Elbow Room. Obviously, we've chatted about the Elbow Room. It's a Fort Lauderdale staple, pretty much. Yeah. So if you go down to Fort Lauderdale, you're going to end up in the Elbow Room. My wife thought it was a strip club we were talking about the entire time. It's like nobody's getting naked in the Elbow Room. And if they are, they're not remembering it.
Getting kicked out.
Yeah, they are. Elbow Room is a fantastic time. Not only has it been at the Elbow Room, obviously, it's made its way into the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, Kachuk took that thing into the Atlantic Ocean earlier today and took his title off, obviously. Let's make sure that doesn't touch the sand. Somebody needs to hold this. I don't want to throw this thing down. Shout out to the WWE. But I think Lordo needs to take a trip into the ocean, don't you? Yup. Dives in, back bump. Stanley is in there. Now, right in front of us. Pause that, please. Right in front of us here with the purse. She's got socks and shoes on. She is a social media person for somewhere. Always going to get the shot.
Yep.
Thank you for your attention to detail, lady, as well. And then obviously it was Stanley Cup was at one of the boys' houses this morning as people were boating by and they were celebrating with the fine people of South Florida. And I think there's some people that maybe didn't even know that they won the Stanley Cup until this morning, and then they saw it and they're like, yeah, we're champions. This is going to help grow the game. This is incredible for the game. And we got brand new champions in the Florida Panthers. I actually love the fact that they won.
Yeah.
You know, the Edmonton Oilers would have been a fantastic story. Connor McDavid, with everything he was able to accomplish this playoff series, with how many points he scored, breaking Wayne Gretzky's records, he was on the rise. The world got introduced to Connor McDavid, the greatest player on ice right now, and he was certainly quite a spectacle. He was dazzling with how fast he was. He was magical with his mitts, and what he did was certainly bring a team all the way back to a Game 7 that we didn't think was going to be possible at one point, and inevitably he loses. Now, the entire world was introduced to this particular character. Next year, we're going to be watching, okay, can he put his team back on his back and lead them back to the Stanley Cup like Kachuk and the boys were able to do down in Florida this past season. But I appreciate the fact that they gave it up. They were up 3-0. They give it up. And if you listen to Paul in his speech afterwards, Coach Paul, he was giving Q&A with Emily Kaplan. Not even her, just like, hey, Kachuk just got the cup for the first time. We need to be paying attention to that. Not on her. But she's talking to Paul, head coach of the Florida Panthers, and she asked him one question, and all of a sudden the last player just got done with the cup and goes right over to him, and he just turns around, so calm, cool, and collective, and does what he does, and then gets right back into the interview.
And you're now a Stanley Cup champion. Describe your emotions right now.
I can't. I don't know what. Oh, hang on for a second. We got a visitor.
Hold on one second. Two visitors. Kiss him on the cheek. Let's get a close look at this thing. Is this real? Look at that pose.
That's awesome.
Drink it down, soak it in, then obviously he goes to kiss the Stanley Cup. They cut away to go to the crowd. I mean, there was a lot of things that happened last night during the coverage of the Stanley Cup celebration, but Paul Maurice getting his opportunity to do that, and then he goes right back to the interview, and he says, that's Florida Panther way right there. We had to make it hard on ourselves. Nothing's easy. He talked about the entire year. And then they interviewed, I think, another player, I forget who it was, and they said, we don't like anything easy. We like it hard. It's almost like the messaging going into Game 7 was like, hey, this is exactly how we would want this. This is exactly the story of the Florida Panthers. This is exactly the story of this particular team. We could have done it the easy way, yeah, but that's not us. We do things the hard way because the hard way is what leads to great challenges and to great accomplishments. And the Florida Panthers winning Game 7 at home, magical moment. Paul Maurice seems to be the perfect coach for that. He has, I think he's lost the most games as a head coach in the NHL's history. I think that is a record that he has. He has the most losses in NHL history as a head coach. I think there was only one person that really wanted to hire him at that particular stage. It was Bill Zito. Said, this is going to be my guy. He's been loyal to him. Paul Maurice has obviously been loyal to the Florida Panthers. He's been loyal to that dressing room, that change room, and now they're champions. It all paid off, and what a magical night. And, I've had the opportunity in Pittsburgh to be a part of a couple of these celebrations where beers are getting tossed out of it. It brings the city together, and I'm happy people are getting introduced to hockey in this particular fashion. Joining us now is a man who's been covering this sport all throughout playoffs and obviously throughout the entire season. He's been on every single sports talk show for good reason. What a great ambassador for the sport of hockey. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the program, PK Subban. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. Just licking my wounds. Had a long night last night, early morning tonight, but all good. All good in the world of hockey.
I know yesterday you were campaigning hard to be a part of Stanley Cup celebrations last night, whether it was the Oilers or the team that you picked, the Florida Panthers in 7 games. Did any of the boys remember and appreciate that you picked them in Game 7? And did you have a chance to celebrate last night with any of the Florida Panthers?
Didn't get the call for the Stanley Cup celebration last night.
No.
Did not get the call. Actually, had a couple of Florida Panthers fans actually let me know that I suck, which is pretty awesome. They were screaming that at me in the building, so that was the highlight of my night, actually. But you know what? Last night got to catch up with all the ESPN folks. We had a couple barley sandwiches, tied one on. Great night. Last night with Mess. Mess had his son in the mix last night, watched the game with us the whole night. Had a couple barley sandwiches with him, and yeah, we're off.
Did it turn into a gong show or with the ESPN crew? Because this is a wrap-up of a hell of a season, right? You guys have been on the road for the last 3 weeks, too, or 4 weeks maybe. So this was kind of a wrap-up for you guys. You did a great job. I hope you guys celebrated how great you guys did for the sport, PK.
Yeah, no, you know what? The whole team, it was a celebratory night. I think for us, that was our Stanley Cup, you know. It's a long road, and it's a huge responsibility at ESPN, specifically with hockey. You know, we're trying to grow the game. We're trying to highlight the superstars, highlight all the bright spots in our game. And, you know, as much as it's got to be entertaining, it's got to be educational, too. We had a lot of new fans, I think, learn things about our game and about the players in it. And, you know, we're pretty happy at where we sit right now. We're pretty excited about next season and the future for hockey. But what a day this is for hockey. I mean, the first Stanley Cup in Florida Panthers history, well-deserved. You know, couldn't have gone to a better team. They earned it. They deserved it. They went to the final last year. They lost. They learned. They got back there, and they got it done. And as you heard Paul Maurice said, they didn't want it any other way. They knew it was going to be tough, and that is the way it should be. It's the hardest trophy to win, and it took everything they had to get it done, and that's what stays with you forever. That's why it's a brotherhood. That's why it's not a – Mark Messier said this on the broadcast yesterday. He's sick and tired of hearing people say group. You know, he doesn't even think of it as a team. He thinks of it as a family, and you could see that last night with all the families and the kids on the ice and wives and girlfriends, all the people. You could just see sort of that Charlotte's Web of everybody that was touched and connected to the Florida Panthers organization and those players that helped get it done, because it's a long journey, man. Like, that's a long road to get there. It's 82-game season, 4 really hard rounds, lots of travel, lots of ups and downs. You know, people have lives too, lots of things going on in your personal life with family and all that stuff. So to get there, it's their moment now, and they should be enjoying it. I'll tell you this right now, you know, listen, I could easily party my way out of the league after winning the cup. So I hope those guys enjoy it and get back in the gym, because I think they're going to have a good enough team to potentially do it again.
I don't know if you saw there at the bottom, a Canadian team has not won since 1993. It's our sport.
That's right.
Boom. It's our sport, and we are, sorry, it's hot in the oven, pal. When you go against the United States of America, especially if you're from Canada, you got no shot. That's what I'm learning. That's what stats are telling us. First time since 1945, a team goes up 3-0 in a series, lets the other team come back, and then ends up winning in Game 7. The Toronto Maple Leafs did that to the Detroit Red Wings in 1945. I think a big reason why they won Game 7 is obviously they came out a little different and yada, yada, yada. But Bobrovsky, hey, old Bob was getting Bobby chants throughout the third period, and there was numerous saves where if you were watching along live, you couldn't help but think to yourself, well, if Bob's going to stop that, or if they're not going to score on that, I guess the hockey gods are with the Florida Panthers tonight. Was Bobrovsky all the way back in full form whenever you're watching him live? And when Connor McDavid has this one here in a matter of moments right in front, wide open, and Bob gets the big here, I think it's going to be right here, bang, Connor McDavid. Stop, diving bodies in front of the net, and it doesn't go in, and they were under a barrage all third period. Did you think that Bobrovsky was going to be the difference maker early in this, and how did you feel watching Bobby do his thing?
Well,
what a save.
I was confident in that. People thought I was nuts for picking Florida to win that game last night, but a couple things. One, Sergei Bobrovsky has been the best defensive player on the best defensive team the past 2 seasons. The Florida Panthers have been the best defensive team and the hardest team to play against the past 2 years, and he's a big part of that. This guy, as great as Florida is, he covered up a lot of mistakes. He plugged a lot of holes for that team, and I think what we saw in the latter part of the Stanley Cup final was him just mentally and physically exhausted. And I'm going to tell you, this whole clip here is like the season in a nutshell for them. It's desperation. These guys blocked a ton of shots. They sacrificed their body. They played the right way. I mean, that's Vladimir Tarasenko at the top of your screen there, who is a superstar, has won a Stanley Cup for St. Louis, had scored goals. Guys would kill to have the skill that guy has, but everything that you're seeing in this clip has nothing to do with skill. It has to do with heart, will, and, those guys laid it all on the line. They emptied the tank last night. And that's who they are in a nutshell. They had to get back to their identity, and that's defense first. But it starts with Bob, and Bob was phenomenal. He was phenomenal in this game. I knew once he got a little bit of rest and some recovery time for one game, he could do it, and he made all the saves when he needed to do it. But Gustav Forsling, I said he was the best shutdown defenseman in the game. Well, he made the biggest play of his life on Connor McDavid when he had that empty net. If you watch carefully, it's stick on stick, it's man on man, and he saves their season, really. I mean, Edmonton ties that up. It's going to be very, very difficult to beat Connor McDavid in extra time. Edmonton was putting on the pressure, but they bent, they didn't break. Look at that stick by Forsling. Unbelievable.
And he gets a little sauce afterwards, dumps him into the net, let you go ahead and eat that. You talk about Tarasenko up in the front. These dudes are putting their faces in front of a puck that could be going like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So
Guys right there were just.
This isn't just like, oh, they're trying to block a shot. Like people say that, and I think people new to hockey are like, yeah, they blocked a shot. They got a bunch of pad on. It's like they don't have a bunch of pads on. There's a lot of exposed areas where there isn't pads because they have to for the way they skate. And also their faces are wide open.
Yeah.
And if you see most hockey players smile, they got busted grills.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just faces just been hit with pucks all over the place. So that type of dedication, that type of grit, that type of will to win is beautiful. It's great for the sport, and it's great for Florida Panther fans. Darius J. Baller.
Absolutely. I got to ask you, PK. Sorry, Barky.
I told you.
Hey. You were on the right side.
Didn't I tell
you were on the right side of history. I appreciate you. But started off, looked like it might have been a high-scoring one, obviously quick back-to-back goals. But like you said earlier, got back to kind of Florida Panther hockey. What was different, being able to stifle Connor McDavid and those guys for this game and kind of some of the last game as well with as far as regards to Connor. But what was different as far as getting back to our defensive game plan and mentality?
Well, defense wins championships. It don't matter what sport you're in. You need offense, and I think that performance last night showed what winning in the NHL is all about. You have to have skill. You have to have a mix of all of it. But if your players don't have the testicular fortitude, man to man, to outwork your opponent and beat the guy across from you, and that means putting it all on the line. If you got to block shots, if you got to get physical, you got to win puck battles. I think that the Florida Panthers, out of any team in the league, had the most buy-in. Those guys all bought in. And what you have to give credit for, there's a lot of guys on that team that did not play in the Stanley Cup final last year. I think it's like 8 or 9 guys. Lusterinen was there. He had a broken leg. He didn't play. So they had guys who had to come in and get that experience quickly. And I think the culture that they built in that locker room, starting with Matthew Tkachuk, that was the difference. That is the difference. That's what you lean on when you face adversity, is do I trust the guys in this locker room? And that's why I picked them. I felt that they were the best team and the closest team because of what they went through last season. To go to a Stanley Cup final and get back in this situation, be up 3-0 and have that team come back, the only thing you can lean on are your past experiences and looking around that locker room. Do I know the guys that are in here? Do I believe in those guys? And I truly believe that they had a tight group and they believed in each other. They just needed to reset and get back to their identity, and that's meat and potatoes. Not trying to make it look pretty. Just get your hands dirty and get it done. And they did.
Protein and starch. Let's get out there. Let's do some gritting, jam and some sandpaper and do this entire thing. Paul Maurice, whenever he was asked in a follow-up question after he took the cup and lifted it and looked at it and did the whole thing, goes back to his interview and he talks about everything being hard and that's how we won it. It's Florida Panther way. And then she followed up and said, why do you think this group of guys or whatever, and he talks about how close they are. They're like, this team is incredibly close. Like, sign guys at the trade deadline, they fit in perfectly. Like, we have a crew, which leads to Ty Schmidt's question for you, PK.
Yeah, PK, obviously hate doing this the night after they win, but, it's
gotta do it.
Yeah, you have to do it. And you just mentioned, like them, they look good to potentially repeat next year, but a lot of their key guys, they have signed for multiple years here. And you just mentioned it with, what they have in the locker room and how close they are and the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. Are we looking at like a potential dynasty with the Panthers here, or how do we approach this?
Well, I'll say this: they're going to have to retweak their defense a little bit. I think they're going to have to shore that up. Obviously, I think Montour's contract's up. They're going to have to retool that. I think that they're going to have to continue to get some speed and skill in that lineup. Their power play was non-existent. That's an issue. They're going to have to address the power play quarterback at the top. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was put into that situation. I don't know if that's someone that they're going to look at to run the power play next year, maybe to start the season, but they're going to need somebody back there that can log those minutes and play that power play, because for them to win another Stanley Cup, they're going to need special teams to get it done. And the way that they played, though, the brand of hockey that they played was a very, very tough brand of hockey. We haven't seen a team play that way in a long time in the National Hockey League, man to man. So is it potential that they can be a dynasty? Maybe, but there's a lot of hockey left to be played. I wouldn't be saying that's necessarily sure. Connor McDavid might have something to say about that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, speaking of Connor McDavid, that's brand right there. That's brand. It's Jim Harbaugh football.
Yep.
That's Florida Panther hockey.
Yep.
I mean, there's numerous other teams. Pittsburgh Penguins, obviously. We got one guy that does this. He's actually a lefty. His name's Sidney Crosby. He's our best player. So our best player is also our toughest guy, which is certainly a problem in Pittsburgh. Sure. We don't need to talk about Pittsburgh today. We don't need to talk about Pittsburgh today.
They're never winning the Cup, so don't worry.
Well, they have.
We already have.
Sorry, again. Sorry.
Okay.
Never again.
Anyway, that Lordo that D-Bud is drinking out of today, come this side. That came from right here.
What?
That came from right here.
Oh, yeah, but they have
actually came from right there.
From right here.
And I did taste that sweet nectar last year.
Yeah, but that thing was lifted quickly right back to Hockey Town, right over here.
So
that's where it's
Indiana?
Boston next year. It feels like.
No, Pittsburgh. I mean, Detroit. Listen, 1945, 1942. I don't have to revisit this.
Let's
But
not.
history was made last night, and the losers, no matter how it went, were both Detroit Red Wings. So if you wanted to just dive into that whole thing.
No, we don't have to.
Okay, all right, sweet. Yeah, we'll talk about teams that made Stanley Cup final. Okay. Because they played great hockey all year. Let's go to Con, man.
Yeah, PK, obviously a lot of the conversation on the broadcast was talking about how the Oilers towards the end kind of ran out of gas. Was that something that you saw from them? And how long did McDavid actually spend on the ice? Because it did feel as though, at least watching, 18 of those 20 minutes in the third period he was on there. And then did you see Leon Draisaitl's comments as well? I might be getting got about this, but is there a chance that he doesn't re-sign with Edmonton after, everything that happened?
Well, Connor McDavid definitely looked tired in the third, but he played half of the third period. So, I mean, any human that plays that much in the third period after that long of a run, I don't care how fast you skate, or how good you are, you're going to be exhausted. And you could see he was visibly exhausted. And they still had opportunities to tie that game. They had their looks. They could have tied it, but, Florida bent. They didn't break. And the best defensive team got it done. As far as Leon Draisaitl goes, obviously he's going to reflect, on the Stanley Cup final and his performance. It's a grind, man. It's a grind. Like, you got to see what his injury report is. Was he banged up or not? But I'll tell you this, who isn't banged up, come the Stanley Cup final? Everybody's got bumps and bruises. This guy is a top 10 player in the National Hockey League. He's that good. But when you win the Stanley Cup, you realize, when you get to the Stanley Cup final, you realize how difficult it is because it's a physical grind. And for me, you could see he had one game maybe in the series where I felt that his skating, he was skating like you normally see Leon do, through the middle of the ice, penetrating, creating. He's a facilitator. He's got to be a facilitator. And I didn't think he could find that confidence in his game enough. So, personally for him, I'm sure he's going to look back and want to be better in his next Stanley Cup final. He'll have an opportunity to do it again. Will it be in Edmonton? I'll tell you this. It's difficult, man. When you go somewhere and you're the number one guy, it's a lot different than playing behind Connor McDavid. And if I was Leon Draisaitl, I'd want to be riding shotgun with Connor McDavid all day long, because the game ain't going to get any easier than that. He's the best player in the world, and if he's in Edmonton, they're going to continue to put great players around him and build a winning team around him. And the goal is to win a Stanley Cup. He's already started his career in Edmonton. He's got a great legacy there. If I was him, I'd want to stay with Connor McDavid. But that's the choice. He's earned his independence. He's that great of a hockey player. He can go wherever the hell he wants to go and play. More power to him. He's elite, but he's going to have to look at his game, reflect, and get better the next time he gets an opportunity.
He goes from Connor McDavid to Sidney Crosby. Congratulations. Yeah. Welcome to Pittsburgh, Draisaitl. Welcome to Pittsburgh. Once win a cup. Once win a cup, you go ahead and do that. We started rattling off hockey players in here whenever you said he's a top 10 player, and it's like, there's a lot of really good players that haven't been playing in the playoffs, so maybe you forget about them, because it's much like the NBA. If you're not playing in the playoffs, you are very much forgotten about. McKinnon, obviously. Yep. Yeah. I mean, he has not played for a month seemingly, or 2 months, so he is out of sight, out of mind. And then Nick in the back, Nicky Skates was Draisaitl was top 10 in points literally every single year. And then you talk about him playing alongside McDavid. It's we saw Gensel doing that with Sidney Crosby, and I thought to myself, if I'm Gensel, I'm taking less money so I can continue to play next to Sidney Crosby. Then he gets traded to Carolina and he becomes their star, and he almost leads them to the Stanley. Yeah. So I assume Draisaitl's also potentially seeing that whole thing take place. And I'll tell you, I can't wait to see what the moves are this offseason. I can't wait to see what the injuries have been for both these Oilers and Florida Panthers whenever they're inevitably announced, because I think a lot of people new to hockey don't understand. There could be a broken sternum on one of these teams that was just playing last night. That was literally just playing last night. Guy was playing through a rolled ankle or something. No, actually, he had a broken femur. Yeah. Well, what do you mean? He's going to be out for 8 months.
It's shattered.
He's actually missing the beginning of next season because of the game he played in last night, knowing that it was going to happen. You hockey players are the best. It was a phenomenal year. Congrats on the great coverage, and we appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Thanks, Pat. Love coming on the show, and thank you for everything that you've done for the league this year. It's been a huge difference. The amount of people over the course of the Stanley Cup final that talk about me coming on your show and just your show in general was pretty awesome. So continue to do the great work, man. Love watching you guys.
We're lucky to do it. You make our show much better. We appreciate the hell out of you. Ladies and gentlemen, NHL legend, Jay Tatum. Dude, hey, Pat, hold on. Yesterday, so I went down to Elbow Room for one drink. So we went there. And that's all anybody goes to Elbow Room for.
Just a quick one.
It was already a gong show in there. And there must have been 10 guys in the bar that they just said, "Hey, PK," they yelled. And I thought they were going to say you, and they started going like this. And then I just didn't even say anything. I just went like this. And they all went, oh,
that's awesome. It's been an incredible gimmick. We'll be talking to Brad Stevens next hour. I'll wonder if he has seen your Jay Tatum impersonations throughout this entire year. You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, PK Subban. PK has done a fantastic job for the sport.
Yeah. Weapon.
Yeah, he really has. Mm-hmm. Him, Moose, Levy, they really get along.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can see that kind of radiating through. They know the opportunity here. With ESPN having the rights, having the Stanley Cup rights, and with what hockey is doing right now, I think the ratings are up 54% or something like that. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's just obviously linear rating. Then you go to the streaming, and then the social media now is kicked up a notch. The NHL was once in the Stone Ages when it came to social media, sharing of clips and everything like that. Now it's up. It's like the acknowledgement of the NHL being top 3 sport. If you go NFL, college football, and then NBA, NHL battling, right? The NBA obviously has an advantage. Many more millions of viewers whenever you're talking about the playoffs. But if you're Gary Bettman in the NHL, and Gary, phenomenal job. His promo last night was sweet. I'm telling you, he was trying to get the crowd to go crazy, as opposed to just customary commissioner bullshit speech. Like he was talking about, and nobody's more important than you fans here. And they obviously all go. And then the handoff of the Lordo is fantastic. But if you're Gary Bettman in the NHL, you have to be looking at the trends for hockey, and you got to be looking at the trends for the NBA, and you got to be like,
wait a minute.
Hold the phone.
Good spot.
We are in a good spot. We were climbing. We were hot. That's good news for all of us. Because if the NBA, who just got a $7 billion investment from NBC, Amazon, and ESPN into their rights, and the NHL has got a massive investment, and these sports are catching fire. We got new young stars that are about to take the reins of the entire thing. We got potential dynasties being built in certain places. It's like, we're in a great spot. Congrats to sports. Congrats to hockey.
Hell yeah. And that's why it's so awesome that Edmonton made it. Like, people that didn't watch hockey, that have never seen Connor McDavid play hockey, must have been watching that like, this is a completely different sport when that guy's on the ice. Like, the highlights of him, in Game 5 when he's dancing through everybody and dishing the puck. Like, him being on the biggest stage is awesome. And also, like, a team like Florida that isn't known as a hockey state or town, at least, now kind of cementing themselves as a premier team in the NHL is sweet.
Do you remember when we were down in Tampa during their Stanley Cup?
Oh, my God.
You walk in and out of gas stations, you hear go boats.
Go boats.
Go boats.
Go
Go
boats.
boats.
Flags.
Literally, and obviously that's whenever Tampa Bay Buccaneers had Tom Brady and they're doing their thing as well. So it's like Tampa became the sports hub, and you would hear a lot of people say, go boats, go boats. And I'm not saying that Tampa hasn't been a hockey town for a long time. I'm just saying whenever you have success, more people buy in. More people, and everybody says, well, you're bandwagon. It's like, I like to think that those people just like happiness.
Sure.
So whenever they see something that could potentially bring them happiness, they're going to get on board, especially if it represents them and their town. It's like Florida Panthers are going to have many more fans next year, just strictly by osmosis as a celebration and the people talking. That's good for hockey everywhere.
And it was also kind of, for us, we didn't really talk about it that way because it sucks because there's not as much sports on, but like, it was huge that the NBA ended when it did, because then like hockey kind of came to center stage for the last 2 games.
All eyes on hockey.
Exactly. And like, obviously, there was the College World Series last night, but like I don't think that's bringing in a casual fan the same way. Because like, people, even if you don't watch hockey, like, what the Stanley Cup is, you've heard of it, and it's easier to find. And I think more people be like, okay, this is the only game in town, I guess I'll check this out. Like, I saw way more people saying like, last night on social media and everything, like, oh, this is actually awesome. Like, I haven't been paying attention to this at all, but like, this is incredible. And if we have the NBA still going on at the same time, like, who knows if we're getting that.
How about the Florida Panthers trailblazing the way into the future of a bigger, better hockey as a whole?
I love it, man. You mentioned being down in Tampa. Like, it's harder for teams in areas where it's so much shit to do, or it's just nice weather all the time. Like Vegas, like you gotta be good if you're gonna be in Vegas. You gotta be good if you're gonna be down in South Florida, LA. Like, you gotta be good in these places for people to care. Unless you're like, like the Lakers, but like the Clippers, like they won't have a real fan base until, like, even the Chargers, like teams like that, like you struggle in these nice cities. Like, it's easier when you're in these blue collar cities when it's cold, half the year, and it's like, hey, my team this is what I got. This is what I look for.
Something to do.
Yeah, it's so much tougher, but it's great. Like you said, it's great for the sport to have a superstar like Connor McDavid, obviously, as a centerpiece, and then a team like Florida, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Now, I'm not obviously a hockey aficionado, but how often does the Conn Smythe Award or Smythe Award go Conn Smythe Award go to the losing?
Almost never.
It's the sixth time in history.
Okay. Only second time it's a skater.
Well,
the
Nick-
other four.
No, you guys feel like you're getting...
No. Look, I
it hasn't happened since the 40s. That's interesting.
There's an issue.
I understand
There's an issue.
he was up there with the great one, and I understand that it is an award given to the player for over all of the playoff series. But I mean, sheesh, like, that's tough. That's tough. Tough spot for Gary to be in. Maybe I owe Gary an apology. I did call for more boos. I heard the broadcast muted, so I'm sure the crowd was giving some pleasantries there.
Yeah, I wonder what they were saying, because I saw mouths saying Bobby, and then I saw it getting muted. I'm like, so they're not saying Bobby something.
No.
So is it Connor they were going after, or was it Bettman they were going
Probably
after?
Bettman.
I heard Bobby.
I was watching Voices say Bobby as well, but it was muted for like a good 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a 20-second mute that took place. And our show understands that the mute is brought out for one particular word.
Right. Starts with F.
Yeah, but it was on ABC, so maybe it's a couple others.
Yeah.
But you're right. But Gary Bettman walking out there First thing he's got. All right, first order of business.
Yeah. Let's get this over with quick.
I need Connor McDavid to come back from the locker
Bring
room.
his ass out.
You're the best player in this whole series. Fuck all these guys. And that's a tough. It wasn't his vote.
Yeah, but
there's an issue.
He's got to speak. And we've seen in other sports like LeBron when he led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, and everything against the Warriors. He's like, all right, if it's ever a time, Jerry West. We talked about the great Jerry West when he won it. I guess it happens or it should happen at time. But I was just confused.
There's an issue with the voting process.
Oh no!
You see, so McDavid obviously incredible playoffs. Okay, after Game 5, I was like, sure, give him the Conn Smythe, no matter what happens. Doesn't have a shot in Game 6. Doesn't have any points in Game 7 or whatever.
What you're listening to right now, by the way, is a guy that unloaded his.
So about 10 minutes left last night. I'm like, that's all the story is. Okay, so I made a deposit in a new account.
You pulled money into account. There's no way they're going to give it to a guy that hasn't had a shot.
Bob standing on his head, so I put a bunch of money on Bob to win the Conn Smythe. He wouldn't have won it anyways. Barkey would have won it, but so it's a mute point. But Nick told me this morning, voting cuts off with 10 minutes left in the game. So at that point, it's 2-1 Panthers.
How's that even happen?
We need
2-1 Panthers.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Gary.
You got to ask the journalists.
So if Edmonton scores,
the journalists, they got
Edmonton
it all
scores and
figured out.
comes
Hey, puppets, just do what you're told.
So I don't blame the voters because it's 2-1 at that point. Say you vote for a Panther, okay, and Edmonton comes back and wins,
and
McDavid's not the Conn Smythe.
What if he scores 2 goals in the final 3 minutes to win that thing?
So the voting is flawed.
Like that's why he had to win though. Like he was clearly, and I get like the player on the winning team should win. I understand that thought process completely. Like this was a generational, hasn't been done in forever since Gretzky type of performance in the playoffs. Like I do understand, like as a Celtics fan, if Luka were to win after a 4-1 victory for the Celtics, I would have been pissed. But if Luka had a triple-double every damn game and his entire finals run hadn't been seen since a Michael Jordan, then it's like, okay, well, it's kind of undeniable how great that guy is. Like, and it's the same thing with McDavid. Like, as a Panthers fan, I'd be pissed.
It was such an awkward moment. It just looked awkward.
So Gary having to do that entire thing when Connor's not on there is the situation we're talking about. Once again, Connor McDavid, when he was minus 5,000, I was like, yep, that is. Yeah. We're watching history right now.
Clear, exactly.
Like we were watching history happen in front of us. But the whole 10 minutes left voting thing, that can't happen.
He was minus 200 when I placed my bet, so his odds did drop a little bit.
But the whole, the NBA, I think, does texting just immediately after the game.
Yeah,
that's what they told us. Yeah.
They just group text into a group.
That's how it should be.
Because with 10 minutes left.
Anything could happen.
Come on, you puppets. Come on, you guys can't send a text after a thing? Well, we have to type it up first, and then we got to send it to our editors to approve whether or not our vote is okay. Then we got to put it in there. Just send a text, make that happen. Could you imagine if they did? What if Bobrovsky scores the game winner?
Yeah.
What if Bobrovsky scores the game, stands on his head somehow, flicks, goes all the way down the ice, and Skinner falls,
beats Stu Skinner,
and goes in.
The goalie's the shooter.
He has the game-winning goal, and also stands on his head. And then let's get Connor McDavid out here. Just moments later, that would have been Gary Bettman's going to get that sorted because he was on the. He was. Listen, we were figuring.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Okay.
And it's tough on Connor too. It's tough. I was like, because once again, I haven't watched many of these. But I'm like, is he gonna skate back out here? And it's like that.
No chance.
That's tough.
They were waiting on him though. They were starting to show like the crowd. Okay, we'll wait for him. We'll wait for Gary.
What if McDavid and Rory come back out?
Rory,
because everyone was pissed at Rory for just peeling tire and getting out of there.
Oh, Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, okay. It's like Rory.
Yep. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Shows up in Rory's car.
The last guy this happened to, J.S. Jaguar, John Sebastian Jaguar, was the Ducks goalie in 2003 on the losing team. He got the Conn Smythe, and he went out and took the trophy. And there are pictures of it. He's with Gary. He looks miserable. Yeah. It's just not. It's not a good presentation. It looks awful. It's a shame.
To your point, like if Bob were to have done that goal, like what about the opposite? What if they voted Bob and he lets in 2 muffins?
Yeah. And then McDavid standing at the blue line.
Yeah, exactly.
The Oilers are about to get the Stanley Cup, and come on out, Bob.
Yeah, let's see it.
That's my point. With 10 minutes left, anything could have happened.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. So dumb.
You had to give it to Connor.
Before we get to our next guest, Nick Benz, and wait till you hear this story. Okay, it's going to be about 2 minutes. We have to talk about the College World Series. Last night, Game 3 in a best-of-3 series between Tennessee and Texas A&M in beautiful Omaha, Nebraska. We had a thriller. Now, listen, early, it was like this Tennessee Volunteers team, the number 1 team in the country, meant business. They win Game 2 in dominant fashion, and in Game 3, the national champion deciding game, first batter, Dahn shot.
Yeah, Christian Moore's a stud.
We are up 1-0. Peyton Manning celebrating Morgan Wallen. Also, Rick Barnes and
John
Heupel.
Heupel.
Heupel are in there. Tennessee royalty is in Omaha, drinking, boozing, celebrating an opening, not pitch. I guess there was a couple pitches. But Dahn shot to go 1-0. Now, we fast forward a little bit later into the boom! 7th inning.
Out of there.
2-run dinger from
Dylan Dreiling, who was the most outstanding player of the tournament.
Congratulations, Dylan, with a 2-run shot in the 7th. It goes from 3-1 to 5-1. Now, let's stay in the 7th inning for the play of the game. Obviously, it is 5-1 still. We were just chatting about that. Ball gets hit off the wall. That's a double. What's going on? Is somebody rounding third? He's going to get home. Throws on time. Dodges the catcher. Tags home plate. Spikes helmet. 6-1 Tennessee. That would go to review, but it would find that
Hunter Ensley.
Hunter Ensley is safe. Look at this play.
Catcher closed his eyes.
He did. I think he did. He thought old school, they would have thought they were getting run over, but new school, you can't get run over, so I don't know why you would close your eyes.
The mustache man jukes the shit out of the catcher, tags home plate.
Wow.
6-1. Hey, why is that important? Well, not only because it's sweet and it's sick and it's something we don't normally see, and there was an incredible helmet spike, but this because going into the 8th, it was 6-1. Then what? 2 runs for Texas A&M. It's 6-3. Then in the 9th, 2 runs for Texas A&M. It's 6-5. This game would inevitably end 6-5. Tennessee Volunteers beat Texas A&M in a late thriller in Omaha, and we have a brand new national champion. The Volunteers win the College World Series for the first time in program history, and it got tight late. And a lot of people were thinking, is Tennessee going to blow this? Instead, nasty pitch to end this. And back in Rocky Top, they're celebrating all summer long. Ty, what a game.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, I think that's why the College World Series is so sweet, because typically, you know, like when it's 6-1 late in these games, it's like, all right, this thing's over. You really don't. But like, you could tell, because a lot of these kids, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, like, I think people assume they look last year and you got Paul Skeens pitching, who is now one of the best pitchers in the majors. So you just assume that a lot of these guys who are in the championship, it's like these guys are going to be playing in the majors, like without, you know, within a couple months here. Like, that's not the case. A lot of these guys probably will never play baseball again or won't go and play in the pros. So like, there's some nervy situations here. I mean, you never see something like that. Like, that is a routine. I mean,
that's game winning.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Being heady to be able to get around there and miss the tag and probably knowing too that, like, hey, you know, 6-1, whatever, like, we're going to need every insurance run we can get, because that's just kind of the way these things go. Like, once the avalanche kind of starts there late and they start putting runners on, guys for Tennessee start getting tight. They have to go to the bullpen, and pitchers can't really get into a groove, because their coach said, you know, before the game, I think we talked to McGee, he was like, hey, we're leaving nothing to chance here, you know, so if you see a guy walk someone and someone gets on base, we're yanking him, we're bringing someone else in. And it really did. I mean, it got to a point there where it's like, oh shit, Texas A&M's gonna, like, they're gonna come back and win this thing. And then ultimately, you know, after that it is kind of tough, because, I mean, just a wicked little slider. Man. Yeah, but they did. They went through, you know, 4 pitchers late, like in late innings, and it felt like, okay, this one might get away from Tennessee, but I mean, it was an incredible game. Basically, all you could ask for from a college baseball game.
How many pitchers for Tennessee?
Tennessee used 5 guys.
How many Texas A&M pitchers?
3.
Okay, so we saw 8 different pitchers last night. Obviously, 11 runs. A lot of them coming late, and that's been the MO of this College World Series. Is games get tight late, so no matter what's happening, you got to stay on the edge of your seat before you can go celebrate. I couldn't even fathom the amount of shots that were bought at Rocco's. Morgan Wallen and Peyton.
That crowd was
awesome. Thousands.
The crowd was awesome.
Every song that Morgan Wallen sings is about boozing.
Yeah.
So whenever something happens, you know, where a chair happens, everybody's like, All right.
Yeah.
He's boozed up.
Born with a beer in his hand.
Obviously a mistake.
Yeah.
Can't be doing that shit. We got to, come on. Morgan, obviously a weapon. And Peyton Manning, known celebrator.
Yeah.
He's a known celebrator.
I think
so,
Heupel gets down too, probably.
and then let's not Heupel definitely.
Yeah.
What about Ryan McGee?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Ryan McGee's the amount
Someone
of
needs to
drink.
check on him.
I assume Omaha has been drank dry before, and I assume last night is no different. Congrats to everybody down there in Rocky Top and associated with Rocky Top. Also, congratulations to this man that's going to be joining us right now. Salesman at Golf Galaxy here in Indianapolis, Indiana.
That's right.
Has found his way into qualifying for the Rocket Mortgage Classic this weekend, a PGA-sanctioned event. How'd he do it? Well, on the Monday qualifier, he won 7 under.
Whoa.
Then
Pretty good.
there was 5 people tied for 4 spots open in the PGA-sanctioned event this weekend. So through 8 holes of overtime play, he secured a spot by getting a birdie on like the 8th hole or whatever. So not only is he an Indianapolis legend, not only did he fight and battle his way to get into a PGA Tour event, he did those entire extra holes, 8 of them, boozed up, had 3 beers before he went out there. Ladies and gentlemen, our new favorite golfer, Nick Benz. How you doing, Nick?
Guys.
How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you?
Great. Not as good as you were feeling on a first bonus hole after you housed 3 beers. Hey, what type of beer are we drinking there? What type of beer was that? And is this normal operating procedure for you here, Nick?
Yeah, this was just another day. It was a summer shandy that I decided to. I had 3 of them. The first one was anticipated to be a little bit of a celebratory beer, thinking I was already safely in. And when I realized that, nope, not safe, I decided, you know what, the only thing good for the nervous system is 2 more.
What? Maybe a little vodka? What?
Right.
If that thing doesn't start at a time, you're going to continue to drink, or did you have a preparation of just 3 no matter when the starting extra holes were?
Well, it all happened so fast because I thought I was in until maybe 2 or 3 groups left. So I was mid-3rd beer. I probably had like a quarter of it left. And I quickly refreshed the scoreboard, and there was 5 guys all of a sudden tied for 4 spots. And I looked at the guys that I was sitting next to at the table, took a quick drink, finished it real quick, and I was like, we got to go warm up. We got more golf to play.
All right, boys. One more? No, 3's good. 3's good. 3's good. Let's go do this thing. And obviously, you play phenomenal golf. 8 extra holes to secure a spot in this weekend's tourney. So are you going to be boozing before? Is this like? And how does the PGA feel about this? Because I think what was it? Joel
Dahn.
Joel Dahn did something where he drank like a
for
White
the U.S.
Claws, I
Open.
think.
White Claws, and then he won like 5 under for the back 9,
Yeah,
and he ended up qualifying into this entire thing. So I feel like these stories happen. John Daly, right here in Indiana at Crooked Stick, whenever he was kind of called in on a Tuesday, drove in from Arkansas, was nervous as shit, was drinking beers in styrofoam cups while walking down fairways, ends up winning the entire tournament or whatever in his first ever tournament. Is this something you normally do? Like when you're at Golf Galaxy, giving lessons or selling clubs, you're like, here's the first thing you need to do. Get a little booze, get a little swing juice, get a little lubrication in you. Is that your go-to? Is that your MO or no?
No, I mean, everybody needs a little bit of swing oil. You just got to find the right balance. For me, it just happened to be 3. This week,
He's gone.
Did he hang up on
PGA.
himself?
Yeah.
PGA say he can't be
Yeah, he
talking about getting boozed up.
Come on.
Yeah, get out of
We
here.
got enough battles right now. Did you hear what Saudi's doing?
You're a qualifier.
We
bud.
don't need you guys. You don't need you out here talking about how boozed up you are in this entire thing. I think we got a point across.
Yeah.
That guy qualified for the Monday thing. Plays 7 under, goes 5 birdies and an eagle to go 7 under. Plays, I assume, one of the best rounds he's ever played. I'm in a PGA event for the first time in my entire life, and then all of a sudden, not so fast, my friend. We've been boozing and golfing our whole lives. Who cares? Let's do that. We're happy for him. Congratulations, Nick Benz.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait to come buy some clubs off you at Golf Galaxy. Or even better, win this thing, then you don't have to sell clubs ever again. You can just get into every tournament like you're Michael Block.
Yeah,
Just keep playing.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know what place he would have to get, and I don't know what he makes at Golf Galaxy, but I would assume, hey, you finish top 30 in this, like that's 2 years worth of working at Golf Galaxy.
What a feel-good story coming out of India. We got beer, we got golf, we got a long shot, we got a Golf Galaxy employee. Guy loves the game.
Loves the game.
Loves the game. And then to get to that Monday qualifier, he had to hit a pre-qualifier to get to the qualifier. So we're talking about a qualifier, I think, last Thursday, then a qualifier on Monday, then some beers, then some 8 extra holes. That's 25 holes or 26 holes in one day, 3 beers and 1 qualification for a PGA event. Nice little Monday for Nick Benz.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, and then that I can imagine too. You're playing 8 extra holes. You're just waiting. Like, okay, but like the amount of tension when you get that close, it's like, okay, like listen, if I play 7 holes here and I'm the one guy who doesn't qualify for this, like you're never coming back from that. So thank God he got it done, and he's gonna go play in the Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, because people would say, well, he's an alcoholic.
Bingo.
This guy's a booze bag.
Exactly.
This guy ruined his entire opportunity. He's almost been like old buddy from Kevin Costner. Tin Cup.
Yeah.
This guy's been grinding away his whole life for this.
Exactly.
Working at Golf Galaxy, giving out terrible lessons in golf simulators by a bunch of bum-ass golfers. Finally gets his opportunity, shoots a 7 under.
Yeah.
This guy shoots a 7 under.
Filthy.
No bogeys, 5 birdies, and an eagle to qualify.
Good day.
And then he gets reminded about an hour and a half later that this is not a guarantee, sir.
You shouldn't have drank those 4 beers.
He's already pretty well. Me and the boys already.
What, summer shandies? It's the summer.
I'm in a PGA event.
I love that he finished. I love that he finished the 3rd one though.
Yeah.
Halfway done. Oh, I got to go back.
All right.
All right, let's go ahead.
Let's do this, boys.
Yeah.
Listen, if Rocket Mortgage starts off rough for old Nicky Benz here,
Exactly.
he needs to stop at a house on the side of the course, like he's in top of Ordo. Just go ahead and do that thing.
Yeah. House it.
We need just a hammered drunk golfer to win this thing.
That'd be
So
awesome.
bad. That'd be huge for
He
the
might
PGA.
win it. He might win it.
Yeah, he might. Who's playing it?
Tom Kim's your favorite.
Oh, fresh off of last week.
Tom Kim's playing good golf.
Tom
right
Kim's a hell of a player. Tom Kim's got a lot to prove right now, too. With how
Cam
that-
Young is your second favorite. He shot a 59 on Saturday, I believe, to get back in the running.
These are letdown weeks for these guys.
Yeah.
I feel good about Nicky Benz.
Yeah, potentially Nicky Benz going on a run this weekend, and we will obviously be pulling for him. Now, I couldn't lead the show with this because there was still information being told by my wife and her family to friends and close people to her family. But now that I've been given the go-ahead, yesterday was a day that is obviously a day that'll be remembered forever in our family because my father-in-law passed away unexpectedly after the show ended yesterday in a hospital here in Indianapolis, Indiana. He had been in the hospital fighting an infection, and on Friday we were told that he was probably going to be discharged by Sunday. They had figured it out, and he was going to be okay. So we were all in high hopes with incredible optimism. And then yesterday, literally as the show is ending, my wife calls me and says that I have to get to the hospital because there had been an emergency. So I head over there, and what my wife and her mom and her aunt and everybody in her family saw go on was her dad being a badass and trying to kick ass and inevitably losing his fight in this particular day. And whenever something blindsides an entire family like that, obviously it can be wildly devastating. My wife is a daddy's girl. She actually has a bear tattooed on her because she calls her dad Papa Bear. She has her dad's quotes all over her. So last night was obviously a very difficult night for our family. And it was a nice reminder and thankfully my wife and her mom with her dad, the last things they said to Bob, who was a great man, was, "I love you." And I think this is a nice piece of perspective and a moment to tell everybody, like, hey, tell your people you love them. You literally have no idea what's going to come. It can literally be the last time you see somebody, anytime you see them. And a lot of people tell us that our show helps them escape from things and get away from things. Well, that's what it is for me today, and I can't thank you all enough. And my wife and her mom, I love you. Hour 2 on the other side. Us now is a man who will be compared to forever whenever they're talking about GOAT conversations in the sport of football. That's because he won 7 Super Bowls, was consistently dominant for more than 2 decades at football. Ridiculously handsome, so absurdly handsome. An underdog story too, picked at 199 of the NFL draft. Not a top 5 pick, not handed anything. And then what did he do? He went to work, did his job, became the greatest of all time, and now a phenomenal businessman and a great representation of the greatest league on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brady. Hell yeah,
What's
dude.
up, my man?
Tom, I thought this was all potential gimmick rip. I didn't know if you were actually on the show. I'm so pumped you were here. Hey, we love you, dude. We love you, Tom.
I appreciate it.
When you're 40 years old and you've won 6 Super Bowls and you're already being called the GOAT, was there anything to you getting to the point of just being, I'm tired of Bill Belichick talking to me like I'm a 23-year-old? Because that was kind of the lingering at the end of your time at New England.
There was so much people just trying to create some division that most of it was untrue, but it's just the way the world works. And naturally, I think division from within is a big problem in these team environments. And I don't like seeing any dysfunction in team environments. Obviously, my respect for Coach Belichick is pretty well documented. He was an incredible leader and coach for our team. And I tried to do my best every single day that I took the field. I knew that he did the same thing. And I think that's why I respected his coaching so much.
But whenever they talk about the Patriot way, that is normally the reason that is given, is like the Patriot way, the Patriot way, the Patriot way.
I've never used that term in my entire life. I think when people say it, I'm always like, what's the Patriot way? It sounds like the title of a book. I think what we tried to do was we tried to do things the right way. I think we tried to practice the right way and prepare the right way. What happened on game day was ultimately a reflection of what we practiced. And I thought we had great leadership from our coaches, and it filtered down to the guys who really drove the culture. We had so many guys that I played with over the course of a lot of years that really understood that, okay, I'm going to care about my teammates and I'm going to care about helping the team win.
There's a guy on our show who is diehard Patriot fan. Boston Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Tommy, I have to.
What's up, Boston?
I have to start and just say thank you. You know, my whole life has been incredible because of the fact that you have won 6 Super Bowls. And, you know, I'm a loser every day, but I'm a winner as a football fan because of you and what the Patriots were able to do. So thank you. What do you think the new era of New England with Mayo is going to be?
Him coming back into coaching, I think, is great for the NFL and certainly great for the Patriots. He's got a great understanding of how things need to be done. I think Gerard does an incredible job relating to everybody in the locker room, all the coaches, and I think he'll do a great job.
Going into the booth, are you utilizing the same thing, hearing what people are saying about you going in there? And how do you balance that while still being a human?
The broadcast going to be 5 years from now is going to be hopefully more improved than the one that starts on day one. So I'm going to go in there with the opportunity to start and learn, and I'm sure by the end of the year I'll feel more comfortable. I really want to be a great ambassador for the NFL and the game. I love the sport. I love the athletes. I love the organizations, and I really...
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey.
Why?
Let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pig! Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this New Champs Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. Hour 2 of the program starts now. Sports are the greatest thing on earth. Sports help distract you from anything happening in your life. Sports help unify the world, and sports bring championships and celebrations to cities all around the world. More specifically, last night, South Florida, whether it's sunrise for Lottie Dottie or Miami, I assume we'll see the cup at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And then down there in Knoxville, Tennessee, in Omaha, Nebraska, with the Tennessee Volunteers winning their first ever College World Series. The Talks the Table is here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Con man, I know you got that Larry O sitting right next to you.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Stevens will be joining us in about 10 minutes. Are you excited to deliver a question to him perfectly, just like you have done in the past with all the other Boston heroes?
Oh, good Lord. I blow at questions. So, no, I'm not really kind of excited for that
you don't
or
blow
prepared.
at questions. When it does seem like you do get a little starstruck every once in a while. Which
really
was the one where your friends texted you and said you should have just...
Ed O'Neill. That wasn't starstruck. That was just like, Jesus Christ, I suck at this. What am I doing up here? But, I mean, Brady, you could say for sure. Bill, you can make an argument. I don't know if I'd go that far. But, no, Brad, you know, I'm more so just looking forward to thanking him for the domination. You know, a lot of teams, like we mentioned throughout the playoffs, you know, every single round the Celtics won, it was never about the Celtics. It was more so about why the Celtics won't win, not about how great and dominant they truly were. And to go from coach to president of basketball operations, I assume that was a move. So I'm more of excited to hear what, he has to say about the squad, about the future of the team, and more so about stacking a few more banners because it's packed up there in the Garden.
You just want to let them know, hey, this ain't.
No, this is cool, but
one's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw you with the backwards hat, having the fun, talking about the team and celebrating everything like that.
Exactly.
We're past that.
Yeah.
We're going to need a couple more, or you're going to get the hell out. Is that what you're going to tell Brad Stevens?
I'm not going to tell him to get out. No, lifetime contract, NBA exec of the year, possibly the greatest NBA exec in the history of the NBA. But I will say, what separates dominant teams is dominant dynasties, and that's what we need to go for. The last 6 years, there's been a different NBA champion every year. It's time we have another run of one team being that team in the NBA.
Well, it's funny you say that. So the Las Vegas Aces, the Yukon Huskies, and the Kansas City Chiefs have all won back-to-back. I actually saw on First Take earlier, says, which team is most likely to win 3 in a row? I mean, the Chiefs obviously have had their eye on it since the beginning. Las Vegas Aces, there's a chance with Asia Wilson still being the best player in basketball, although the WNBA is certainly in a different place now than it was the last 2 years, and that's because there's one player. I'm not kidding you.
Did you see? Sorry, real quick. Did you see the graphic that was put together?
The one we made?
No,
because that one didn't get seen because I was a dumbass.
No, there's a different one put together about a comparison of two players, and they combined in one stat that was just an asinine stat to combine. But again,
we're not even going to get into
No point.
We don't know enough about
no point.
Even though we've invested $40,000 in season tickets into Indiana Fever. Has any other journalist do that? You tell us puppets, in your entire chit-chatting this entire thing. Yeah, boots on a wood. Everything you guys are talking about in the WNBA right now, if you go back to the first month of WNBA season, you probably hear everything you guys are addressing right now from one group of dumbasses in this entire thing. Nonetheless, Caitlin Clark's going to figure it out. I think next year, good luck to everybody.
They made,
They're starting to cook right now, to be fair.
They're making a run.
I was going to say.
They're going through Boston.
Yeah, this year's not over
Melissa.
They're changing.
Caitlin's rolling. Christy Sides has actually been
cooking up. Need Katie Lou to get some more shots up.
Well, and Samuelson as well.
Bingo.
Yeah. Samuelson is the beast. She drains threes.
Yes.
Legitimately. Anyways, or the Yukon Huskies of the men's college basketball. I think we all agreed that men's college basketball is probably the most gettable in this entire
I
thing.
would say. After those back-to-back dominant runs that we've seen in March Madness, that's who I will have the most faith in.
Well, is there
and maybe a little biased.
Is there any chance, you're a Yukon Husky, is there any chance that 9-time NFL vet Darius J. Butler's Florida Panthers go back-to-back?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've been there back-to-back. We figured it out. Obviously, been there. Like PK said, we got some things to figure out. But, with that core, with that coach, Paul Maurice, with Bill Zito, seeing all those guys, that whole family down there at Sunrise. Well, we got to win 2 first before we get into this conversation.
Oh, of course. I got to go back-to-back. Easy as that.
That's the lower third tomorrow, by the way. Who goes back-to-back? Who's more likely to go back-to-back? The Florida Panthers.
Or the Indiana Fever.
To Chuck or Tate?
Or the Boston Celtics.
Oh, okay.
Or the Boston Celtics.
One half of the Hammer, Dahn, Cowboys, Tone Diggs is here. He unloaded his account on Bobrovsky to win the Conn Smythe last night in the third period. Instead, Connor McDavid becomes the 6th player in Stanley Cup history to be on the losing side of the Stanley Cup while winning the playoff MVP award, which is the Conn Smythe. Sports are wonderful. Joining us now is a man who's a college football national champion and a Super Bowl champion. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk. AJ, we got 2 new teams becoming champs for the first time in their history. I'm pumped up about it. Congrats to Tennessee. Congrats to the Florida Panthers, AJ.
Yeah, I think both games actually delivered, too. And I know you said earlier it was a bit of a cagey affair in the hockey game, 2-1, but you could kind of feel it. Like every single thing mattered. And I enjoyed hearing PK and Mess and everybody and Levy in the intermissions talk about how, I think Mess said, hey, if you're behind your guy by 2 feet, it might as well be 2 miles. Everything is magnified and everyone is playing such elite hockey. It was honestly, it was really fun to watch. What a goal right there too, by the way.
Filthy deflection, obviously. That is a tactic used in hockey for those that don't know, is get in front of the goalie and deflect to completely change the direction of the puck from missing the net to being 5-hole goal.
Crazy.
Massive skill set and big goal, obviously, Stanley Cup Game 7. And Rhino puts one in for the 2-1 lead as Bobrovsky would stand on his head the rest of the way and secure the Stanley Cup for the Florida Panthers. And then for that College World Series, AJ, hey, 4 runs by Texas A&M in the last 2 innings, 6-5. All of a sudden, we got an overthrow. Somebody basically just walks in, 6-5. Holy shit, the tension in all the orange that was around Omaha was very palpable and very real. Peyton Manning and Morgan Wallen went from saluting and cheersing to arms crossed. What do we have here?
Yeah.
What do we have here? Instead, they hold on, get a big-time dub. What a game, what a win.
Yeah, I was thinking of all of these kids' parents sitting in the stands, honestly. I was like, man, if any of these people were my kids, like, how nervous would you be? And then the absolute relief and excitement for the team that wins. Yeah, like, I'm happy for them, man. College baseball it's a cool atmosphere. They need to figure a way to bring that into the major league somehow.
Well, that's never going to happen. I mean, that's like college football, in the NFL. It's just not. I mean, the NFL makes so much more money, obviously, because they're a phenomenal business and the ratings are crazy. But if you just talk about environments, you're talking night and day there.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think, obviously, you went to Ohio State, so you got to experience this, and you grew up in the state of Ohio. You're basically a Buckeye from birth, and I think they actually give you Buckeye, things as soon as you're born in the state of Ohio, like you're going to be a Buckeye. But, college football atmospheres are just different, especially at those big schools. West Virginia, our fans are obviously absurd. But you go to some of these cult-like, religion-like college football places, and it is a different ball game. It's like a religion for these people. College baseball in the South, I think.
Yeah.
Not everywhere. College baseball in the South, though, very similar. And whenever you hear that ding off the bat, everybody, it's an instant Pavlov's dogs, lose your shit. Some of these videos that come from the regular season games are bananas. And then the entire Omaha thing is beautifully done. Packed house.
That place is packed.
Feels like the city is ready for it. Hospitality through, like here in Indianapolis, I got nothing but respect for what Omaha did because all the workers there have to buy in. We're going to deal with drunk idiots that aren't from here.
Yep.
So a lot of cities, like in Pittsburgh, drunk idiots not from Pittsburgh, not handled well. Normally, ass beat, kicked out of bar, don't come back here. In Indianapolis, it's like a part of the gig. Hey, there's a lot of conventions here. There's a lot of events here. There's going to be a lot of drunk doofuses from other walks of life in other cities wandering our streets, and the people of Indianapolis are cool with it. That's like, hey, good to see you. You should head over there. Okay, let's stay away from that particular group there. Let's go somewhere else. Omaha is the same damn thing. They're dealing with the drunkest of drunk alumni and richest of rich alumni from all of these schools, and everybody sings their praises. So shout out to Omaha, shout out to college baseball for having a remarkable year yet again.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the shot counter. That's one of the big things. They're encouraging people to come in and buy 1,000 shots for people, and they're keeping track of it. And I think one of the big things too is you get down there and, like you said, in the South, I mean, there are 4 teams from the SEC and 4 teams from the ACC that made it. But for the most part, obviously, there's always going to be drunk assholes and stuff like that. But with how much people are boozing down there and doing all, you don't hear a lot of fights. There's not a lot. You don't see videos of physical altercations. It's a lot of people who genuinely just do love college baseball, and they go to Omaha to kind of celebrate it together. And who wins is kind of secondary, which you don't get that a lot in sports anymore.
And what a play by
Hunter Ainsley.
Did you see that, AJ? He gave a yeet.
What do you like? I mean, did the catcher assume that he was going to run him over, even though you're not allowed to run him over? There's all the rules are weird now.
I think D-Buck questioned his athleticism.
I just think he closed his eyes. He might be a great athlete, but it's kind of a bang. I mean, it's happened to me before. I missed a tackle. I missed a tackle on Tyreek Hill that same way. Screen pass, thought I had him. Kind of closed my eyes right before, and boom, he was gone.
Yeah, Antonio Brown got me, and same exact thing. I was on the ground.
Bang, bang.
But how far outside the line is he allowed to go?
I mean, you're really not supposed to stray from the baseline.
Because that was good usage, I think, of the.
For sure. He was coming wide. That's why, the catcher was set up wide because that's where he was coming. This is a great play.
It's a great running, I think.
Yeah.
He set him up. It's like kick returner. He set up his block almost and then gets around. It was a phenomenal play. And this is the game-winning run.
Yeah.
Right here. So it's going to be, I assume there's going to be a photo of him going like this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right there.
Across, across all the Tennessee volunteer baseball shit, whatever it is, weight room, dugout, facility. I don't know what all they have.
Clubhouse.
You can tell the catcher is preparing for contact, and then he realizes at the last second, he's not going to contact me, and then tries to reach.
Never even turns his head.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
If he contacts him, it's an automatic out, right? So the catcher, if he takes that,
I think
so body part counts? Like if you, or does
I thought you had to touch him with the ball.
Like,
you do, but I'm saying if you run him over now, the rule is I
ball
think
has
you're
to
out.
touch him. So like if the ball's in glove, but like if he just like clips him with like a part, like no, he has to make contact.
Okay, so I think I saw in game 2, second base guy got tagged in the face. Did you see this with the bruise in his tire?
Yep.
Then ball fell out.
Safe.
No, this guy is in between first and second. It like came to, what's that, second baseman or shortstop on the right side?
Second.
Yeah.
Second baseman then. So somebody hits it to second baseman, there's somebody on first. He gets ball, guy's running from first to second. He goes to tag him, okay, pretty good contact. He's on the inside of the guy's on the outside. And ball ends up skirting free, but this guy gets punched in face with glove. So he's laying on dirt. Ball skirts out underneath. In my head, I was like, I think in baseball, he could get up and go.
Yeah.
Guy picks up ball, tags him. He gets up, busted open, just walks off. I'm like, baseball's pretty sick. I didn't know we're punching people in the face while we're running the bases out here. So if, let's say old buddy there isn't able to get around him, but he hits him hard enough, which I don't know, you guys are acting like is not possible anymore. And that ball comes out, he's safe?
That's how it used to be. Like back
in the day, show
in
some
the
clips from the majors. Yeah. The dude's protecting the plate. And then they changed everything after what? Mauer or whoever got hurt?
You used to just be able to run over the catcher like
full speed collision,
awesome.
and
You're not allowed to do that
guys would block the plate and get absolutely destroyed and drop the ball, and then the guy's safe. And then it was I think it was Buster Posey, who was like one of the best catchers in the majors. He got blown up, got hurt for the season. They're like, all right, we're not doing this anymore.
So he's not allowed to. His intent can't be to run over that.
Correct.
Catch. He has to act like he's getting around him.
Yeah,
but he could have easily.
If they make contact, I think a lot of times it's the umpire's discretion as to whether or not there was intent to knock him over. But most of the time, no contact is allowed.
That was filthy.
Yeah, so big time.
That was absolutely filthy. And the fact that that's the game winner, and you got that mustache on your face, you got to feel good.
Yeah.
You got to feel really
You
good.
feel great.
Yeah,
Feel really good.
you got to feel good about your time at Omaha. Afterwards, he was probably up there with Morgan. Last night he let her lay her down. Him and Peyton, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's living.
McGee.
That was me, yeah.
Yeah.
McGee's on his shoulders.
I was this one here. You know that? And then McGee came in. I seen that 79.
Yeah.
79. You remember Bo? You remember Bojangles?
Bojangles for you, right?
Yeah, he actually had the same exact move. All right, let's pivot away from College World Series. Congrats to the Volunteers. Great school, great university. I've been down there a lot with College Game Day. It is fantastic. So I'm happy they won. In Texas A&M, what a run. They've never won a title either. Hopefully next year. It was fun getting to learn about your team. Speaking about learning about teams, all year we didn't hear shit about one team, okay? Because they were considered too good. This team's already got into the playoffs. This team's so far ahead of everybody in the East. Let's not even talk about them. Now, granted, we are a football program. We don't cover the NBA as much as we should, although it seems like in the future with the relationships we are building, we will certainly do it. But the folks that cover the NBA refused to cover this team because they were too good. Let's not even talk about it. We'll talk about them in the playoffs. Then it got to the playoffs. It was like, they're not that good. They're actually just playing. And then what do? Well, they have the most dominant run in recent history to a championship. Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, Indiana man, who's leading the Boston Celtics, formerly as their coach, now president of operations. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Stevens.
Hey, guys.
Coach,
how we doing?
Coach, people still call you coach or no?
They do. And then they usually say afterwards, I don't know why I still call you coach.
Well, that's because once a coach, always a coach. Yep. And I think that's
right.
I think that's a compliment more so than anything. And we saw, Zionsville High School photo of you the other day on the internet. You've always had so much swagger that the world could not handle it. Let's talk about your life right now. You obviously go from coach to front office. And that's been something I assume you've had to talk about at length or ad nauseum. For me, as a guy that was in Indiana whenever you were in your run at Butler, and how much all these people love you in Indiana and how much respect everybody has for your basketball brain, watching you leave the sidelines to go up to the front office, I didn't fully understand it. Now, obviously, it's like the greatest decision any person's made in sports at this point. But when you make the transition from coach to executive, was there nerves? Were you ready for it? I think there's been numerous people that have said like you were ready for it, but did you know that all this was coming? And that's like such a crazy question, but was there nerves? Did you expect this? And how has it gone since the transition has taken place versus what you thought it was going to be?
No, I mean, yeah, there were nerves because it's totally different, right? You spend 21 years coaching, and that's kind of what you build up, your knowledge base in, and that's the old rule of 10,000 hours. Coaches get to that pretty quick with how many hours you put in. But I really love to build team. I really like to fit pieces together. We had an amazing staff in the front office that I knew could help me get better at understanding the intricacies and the nuances of, the cap and the CBA, and understanding all the different decisions that you have to make along the way. But I felt like I had a good base of knowledge about our basketball team, and specifically our best players and what would complement them. And hopefully we could put the right pieces around and just continue to be sustainably good. I don't think you ever, you always want to win championships. You always want to be in the mix for that. And that's what we've tried to do. And we also recognize how much good fortune you have to actually do it, right? And so it's been fun. Plus, my calendar's a little bit more open up, Pat, during the year. Like, I didn't miss very many of my son's high school games. My golf game's gotten better. I've been to a lot of my daughter's soccer games. And, coaches, as much as we try to be present, we miss a lot. And so it's been the best of both worlds for me.
Well, I'm happy to hear the golf game's gotten better. Happy to chance to hang out with your kids and not have to be fully immersed in basketball and how do we get better all the time and what play sets should we run? What is this team going to do? What did you see in Joe Mazzulla? Okay, because I went to school at West Virginia at the same time as Joe. Joe was known as an incredibly cerebral, smart guy. Everybody loved him on the basketball team. And obviously his jump, and the youngest coach to make the finals since 1969 or something like that. What did you see in Joe? And does Joe ask you questions? I saw Pep was there. I think he tried to pick Pep's brain, who's the Manchester City. Manchester City coach. Does he talk to you? Do you chat with Joe? And how is your relationship coach to coach? Seemingly.
Well, I love Joe. I hired him as an assistant long ago, and he's been an assistant here prior to being the head coach under unique circumstances last year, and I thought he did an amazing job last year, and he backed it up with an even better job this year, and that's to be expected. We're supposed to improve as time goes on, especially when you have kind of the growth mindset that Joe has. Joe is an incredible leader. He knows the game. He makes good decisions in the game on both ends of the floor. But I think his impact goes way beyond that. He's amazing in the locker room. He's amazing with the guys. He's not afraid to challenge people. And he has the stamina to work. And, that coaching thing, when you're talking about 200 some odd days or 250 some odd days in a season, we started September 28th. The coaching brain never kicks off, right? And so to end in June 17th and to be on that whole time and to have that kind of stamina and that kind of work ethic is real. And he's got it. His motor is always going. He's got he's done a great job of creating a network of people like Pep in sports that he likes outside of basketball that I think he really, really tries to learn from. You never worry 1 minute about Joe Mazzulla feeling like he's got it all figured out. He's always trying to learn, grow, get better, and he brings a great energy to the building, and we're lucky he's here.
Yeah, there was a story that came out about him winning Coach of the Month or whatever, and nobody cares. And they just kept walking by. It's like
like that.
Yeah, that like humility is something that all coaches have to have. And you talk about 200 some odd days. That's not just like at work. That's like on road.
Oh yeah,
travel. That's like Go ahead.
Yeah, and always thinking about it. Like, it never leaves your mind, right? Like, even when you're trying to disassociate and get, hang out and go to dinner or whatever the case may be with your family or be at a kid's game, you're always thinking about the team, because you're just trying to figure out how to get the pieces all to work together as well as humanly possible. It's a big difference between my job now and his job is you don't get into the weeds of the everyday in this job like you do as a coach. You're more of the 10,000 foot view and how it's all going to fit together and thinking about what's next. And But I just got a great respect for his motor. He brings it every day.
Yeah, set it and forget it, and not forget it as in like don't think about it for you, but it is like rotisserie chicken. Let's just put that thing in there.
Yep.
And then Missoula's the one.
Yep.
He's the one that's spinning the chicken. You guys are a great tag team. It's been fun to watch. So incredibly dominant. Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, why do you think in professional sports it's so tough to have sustained success? Pat and I talk about it all the time, like what the Patriots did, what it seems like the Chiefs are in the middle of right now in the NFL, what you guys are hopefully going on. Like, what's the plan, and how do you continue to kind of like push the envelope and continue to get better?
Well, I've been really fortunate. Studied a lot of football, AJ, and my time at Butler when I was in Indianapolis, the sustained success of the Colts.
Hell yeah.
Through the Peyton Manning years, and then in transitioning to Andrew and all the great players on offense and defense that you
and
played with.
Special teams, yeah. And special teams, yeah, Brad. And special teams.
I counted you as defense for some of those tackles.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's actually, I actually wore. I
played defense.
Yeah, I actually wore defensive jersey at practice.
My bad.
Hey, Brad, this guy did study.
He knows ball.
This guy knows ball. Yeah, sorry about that. That's
My bad. And then I move out here, and you're right in the middle of the Patriots dynasty, and
real one.
The quarterback room when I went and sat down with those guys were, it's Brady and Garoppolo and Brissett and Josh, and you have all these future head coaches walking all over that building, and Bill is obviously, the most amazing resource you could ever have here, and so you learn a lot from those people, and I think what we've been fortunate with in our long run of playoffs is that we had a chance to be good, and at the same time had a couple of other picks that we were able to, that we knew were there, right? And Danny just had to get them right, and boy did he ever. And so when you get in back-to-back years, Jalen and Jason, then you have a head start on being sustainably good. And then it's about, we've had different iterations of our team as they were growing and going from 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds with a little bit less responsibility to kind of carrying the torch for us. But it's about finding the people that fit best around them, how we can accentuate them. I think of like how, the receivers that the Colts could put out there for Peyton, or the receivers or the running backs that the Pats could put out there for Brady. Like, that's what you're just trying to do. That's the way you're thinking about it.
Let's talk about Tatum and Brown. Obviously, it was a big piece of conversation in the sports media world. Is Tatum doing enough, or is this Brown's team? I'll tell you what, if I'm Brown, I'm thinking to myself, why is Tatum still on the marquee with me? Like, there is a lot of that from the outside, right? That was, they didn't talk about your team. I don't know how much you paid attention. You can't pay attention. You got to do your thing. Nobody really talked about your team. Now, granted, Connor was screaming for a long time. Trying to. Anytime we brought up basketball, because he is obviously a massive fan of yours. He was an absolute asshole walking in here the other day after you guys won. So thank you for creating another championship for this guy to celebrate. But they've been trying to drive a wedge between those two, seemingly, since you guys became uber successful. Why do you think those two get along so well? Why do you think those two are going to continue to be pillars for you? And how do you maintain this? Like, I don't want to say, oh, something just happened.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, it was sweet. Something just happened right behind you. It was pretty cool. But why do you think they are that way? And is this possible forever, I guess, with the way these two operate?
We're so far into the tax, we're saving money on my lights in my office.
You got to pay one of those guys. Yeah, you got to pay one of those guys. Yep.
If I don't move for 5 minutes, the lights automatically go out. You know what?
Saving the world.
This all starts, Pat, with the character of the two people. And at the end of the day, these guys are workers, great teammates, awesome players, but competitors. And it's funny because now that you win it, all the narrative is man, they're way ahead of schedule when you look at their age versus what they've accomplished versus the rest of the league. And they were ahead of schedule the whole time. And that's, again, why we've been fortunate enough to kind of build around them. They're the kind of teammates you want to have on your team. They're the kind of teammates you want to build around. And we ask them to do a lot. They're not, when you think about it, a lot of times scoring and the ability to put the ball in the basket gets all the attention. And, Jaylen Brown is picking up Luka full court. Jason Tatum in our last 3 series guards the center so we can switch all the centers, pick and rolls on Luka and Kyrie. and he's got the size, strength, and ability to communicate and direct the defense from behind to do it. And those are the types of things that winners do. And so we don't have time for all of the talk about breaking apart. We're too busy trying to work together to win, and those two guys have to lead the way in that. They'll continue to lead the way in that, and that's just who they are. Their families are amazing. They're amazing. And we're lucky they're Celtics.
Yeah, hell yeah. I loved your answer. That's the way winners operate. A lot of losers saying a lot of things. It seems like winners are operating in this particular fashion. I think everybody in Boston loves the way you and your team operate as a whole. Speaking of masshole, Connor has a question for you, Brad.
Yeah, Mr. President, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for Boston, of course, as both a coach and now, the president of basketball operations. But, going forward here, one's nice. I'm gonna hold on to this one for a while, but like Joe said, there's room up in these rafters. There's room on this desk for a couple more, maybe 3 or 4. So something to think about. But as you do kind of prepare and transition into the next season, and I think you said the night of the championship, hey, we got draft workouts tomorrow. So I'm pretty jacked up about that. But how often during the season and obviously now are you trying to kind of pick and place other guys in spots that we may need? And are you worried about the potential that when you start calling teams, they're going to pick up and say, go to hell and hang up because they know if they trade with you that the Celtics are going to continue to dominate?
Oh, you're talking about Drew Holiday.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. I mean, you could argue Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis. It kind of happened to Danny Ainge, actually, right before you took over, where people were like, hey, if Danny Ainge calls, you tell that son of a bitch to go to hell because he's making a bad deal for you. Are you worried about that, Mr. President?
I'm not, because every trade we've done, I think, has been good for the other team. They were all in different ages and phases and trying to maximize assets and those type of things. And so, listen, we haven't had a first round pick yet in the 3 years I've been here. Tomorrow we have number 30 for now. And so, we'll see what happens. But I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of smart people around the league, and there's a lot of teams that are looking at whatever window they're in with regard to building or trying to maximize it right now. And we certainly, again, when we've got Jason and Jalen, we've got to find the right people to build around them. And so from my standpoint, our job, and I think I don't have all the expertise that a lot of these front office people do around the league or even in our building. My only background is in coaching and how teams function together. So we try to make it as easy for a team to complement one another, to bring out the best in one another, and for the coaches to have a group that you can easily create roles and role definition around. And I think that's kind of what we try to do. And yes, you're always thinking about it. And tomorrow, whoever we draft, wherever we draft. In the next couple of days, I think that we're just going to try to keep adding people that are really good people that are interested in competing and that are ready for the responsibility of wearing this uniform, which is not normal. It's just it is a real responsibility when you play for the Boston Celtics, and it hits you pretty quick.
Most championships in the history of the NBA, that happened this year, 18. Passing the Lakers. 17, congratulations. When you talk about the pressure of being a Celtic, and you said you got 30 for now, and then you said wherever we pick tomorrow or the next couple of days, and with all the money, you got a lot of money out there. More money on the way, from what I've been told.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a lot of money, and I don't know how your NBA salary cap works. Feels like you guys just pay fucking everybody. Yeah, I don't know how it works. It feels like, we'll just pay luxury tax, whatever we need, we can do it. And you guys, obviously, you're in a standpoint where you got incredible players. But I would assume being able to draft somebody who's potentially young and cheap would be great addition to a team that has a lot of money. Is that how you're viewing it? And whenever I should know this, I should have done more research before this conversation. You're trying to move up in the draft from 30? I don't want to give away your entire leverage, but you're obviously trying to move. Is that a known
I
story?
would say there are certain scenarios where maybe we look at moving up, and there are certain scenarios where maybe we look at moving back.
Nice.
The way that the draft works in basketball is all of the salaries are slotted in the first round. So it's slotted 1 through 30, exactly what those, contracts will look like really over the course of 4 years. And then in the second round, you can be a little bit more creative with contracts. But, and even to the point where, later in the second round, there's a lot of people that will be drafted that in the past will either continue to play overseas for a while or, will be on two-way contracts in the G League. So there's all kinds of things that we could do on draft night. But if the right person's there and we feel like they'll come in and help, and it's somebody we can invest in, then we're looking forward to making that pick. And if not, then we'll think and obviously talk to everybody in the league about moving around. That it's going to be it's fun. I mean, if we get everybody back, and we hope that we look pretty similar to last year, barring any health issues, then it's going to be hard for whoever we draft to crack the rotation. But we've got to start. We've got to continue to build and grow some of these young guys, so that when we do have to transition, we can do so while again trying to be sustainable.
I didn't even know there was more than 30 guys getting drafted, right? And it's that one French guy?
Yeah, Sarr.
Sarr.
And then there's another
and
French
Bronny.
guy.
And Bronny.
And Bronny.
They're the only two eligible guys.
Yeah, I thought that was literally the only two, Brad. So congrats on one. I guess.
Congrats.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
One of those guys going to the Celtics. He's going to do it. He said he's drafting somebody. I didn't know there was anybody else to get drafted.
Somebody from Purdue, perhaps.
Oh, big tall guy.
Yeah, big zone big.
Whoa.
Look out.
Indiana.
Hey, he can move too. You saw him. He got in great shape for his last year here. He's moving around. He's got good moxie too.
Did you jump on the Purdue bandwagon when they went to the final this year?
Yeah,
that was sweet, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Coach, I will hop on a bandwagon if we're gonna have a good time. I'm here for it. We can boil her up if we have to. And Butler, I was let's go Bulldogs whenever you guys.
Good. Need to get over there to some games. No, it was so much fun to see Paint and that Purdue team go to the final. They ran into a juggernaut, but
damn right.
I was really happy for Coach Painter. He's one of the best.
Okay, Coach Painter, obviously awesome guy, and there was a lot of doubts about the Purdue team ever getting over the hump, so them making it to the finals is obviously a huge convo. Taking on Dan Hurley in the Huskies. Do you pay attention to all the shit that's happening around the NBA? I guess you would have to in President Basketball Ops. Dan Hurley right in your backyard, seemingly there at UConn in the area. Is there a thought of these, because Joe Mazzulla, young, he coached in college, I think, and then he's assistant with you guys, and then bang, he becomes head coach. Dan Hurley was potentially going to be the coach of the Lakers. JJ Redick, now the coach of the Lakers. Whenever you have Joe Mazzulla, is there certain traits you're looking for in these young guys? And are you scouting all of these people that are potentially coaches or players because you never know what's going to happen in the future while it's taking place?
Yeah, I don't think that I actually go into gyms thinking about it in terms of scouting. But I leave practices, incredibly impressed a lot. And one of the things I really enjoy about my new job is going to college practices and watching different people work. And that could be the head coaches, the assistant coaches running the offense or defense, whatever the case may be. With Joe in particular, we had Joe in Maine on our G League staff in I believe 2014 or 2015, but after he left, I used to do a round table where we'd bring in coaches from across the country in the summer so I could learn. It was pretty selfish, right? I wanted to bring people in to talk and learn, and I would steal things or plays or defensive drills or whatever the case may be. But it also became something where we tried to have a couple of speakers a year that were these kind of young coaches that you needed to keep an eye on. And Joe actually was one of our speakers, I think in 18 or 19, and then we hired him. I think it must have been in 18 because we hired him in 1920, and he's been with us ever since. But yeah, you got to keep your eyes open, and Danny obviously is a great coach, and great coaching is not monopolized at any level. There are great coaches in the youth basketball area. There's great coaches in high school and middle school and college, and you got to keep your eyes open, and certainly if Danny ever wants to make that transition, I think he'll do that well.
Hey, there's a fourth grade basketball team that had JJ Redick coaching it though.
Yeah.
Before he got up here to the NBA, and they're
good.
Splash.
They can shoot the rock.
Yeah, these fourth graders were traveling a bit. I think there was a little bit of travel, but that's gonna happen. But they are shooting a rock. Don't want to give things away, but I think the Lakers they're gonna be running like that fourth grade team. Yeah. You talk about the Celtics and obviously the weight of the logo being on your jersey. It also happens, I assume, to everybody. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Coach, how jarring was that when you first leave Butler and you go from just being like the lovable Cinderella, and obviously everyone knows fans in Indiana are basketball crazed, but kind of just affable people in general, and everyone wanted to see you guys win, and then you go to the Celtics where let's just say, people on the East Coast maybe have a little bit more hard edge, and like the expectation is, hey, you're going to win. You're coaching now for not just one of the most historic teams in the NBA, but in all of sports. How jarring was that jump from just like, hey, we're just kind of happy to be here in the Final Four to like, okay, that's great, coach. Like, go win a title now. And how long did it kind of take for you to kind of get used to that and just like that entire culture change of going from Butler to the Celtics?
Well, one of the things that really drew me to the Celtics was that Danny and the ownership group had always really stuck by coaches, and really like they were patient with the process and they understood that they weren't going to ride the roller coaster of an 82 games, even in this market where, obviously people always will have an opinion and, are enormous fans. But I think that one of the things that, and I've said this before, I don't know why this is the case. And maybe it was because when I was coaching at Butler, I was, between 30 and 36. And maybe it was just my age, but coaching in your hometown where you went to high school, basically where you went to college and then where you've worked your whole professional life, that's a pressure too. And in moving out here, the responsibility of putting on the Celtics jersey and having was an intriguing part of doing it. And at the same time, I think that the pressure of coaching in your hometown really prepared me well. There have been so many, pinch yourself moments as a member of the Celtics organization. In 2013, when I became the head coach, we had just traded Pearson Garnett. We weren't expected to be very good, at least in that first year, and we got better soon thereafter. But that first year was tough. But you knew the weight of the jersey when Tommy Heinsohn would stop by practice, when Satch Sanders would come by, John Havlicek, would come off the Cape before he headed down to Florida and would swing by. And, Bill Russell's at the first game I coached. These are like as a kid from Indiana who grew up only about basketball, those are like incredible moments. But also you talk about imposter syndrome. You're like, man, I really don't belong here. I didn't think I was good enough to be the coach at Butler. There's no way in hell I'm good enough to be the coach here. But those are moments that I'll never forget. And I think our guys embrace that. Like Tatum knows that, and Brown they know the responsibility that they have in being the Celtics that everybody looks towards. And I think they've always done a great job with that.
How old? You were 37?
I think I was 36 when I moved here. But it was hard to leave there, man. It was hard to leave there.
No, but I'm saying you looking in the mirror as a 36-year-old, you got Bill Russell, you look up in there, 17 banners.
Check.
Okay, so this is my team, and we're getting rid of
all of our players are gone.
Yeah. See, they're going to be out.
One thing I will tell you very certainly, I have never once thought or said, this is my team. As Connor knows, this is Boston's team.
Hell yeah.
It'll be great it was great before we got here. It'll be great long after we're here. But man, it's pretty cool to be a part of.
You're a holder of a seat. I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that, especially with where you guys are now, because the past is littered with Hall of Famers. Go ahead, D-Bud.
Absolutely, and it pains me to say this as a Heat fan, but congratulations on
Hey, congratulations.
18. Congratulations on 18. And a lot of things that come with greatness. Obviously, as a Heat fan, I'm going to look for some potential problems down the road. Possibly, you've been a former coach, former player. You know how important jersey numbers are. With you guys having so many damn jersey numbers retired and chipped, Brown and Tatum may be the next two. Has those conversations ever come up in free agents or trade talks with players, like wanting a certain number, because you know how important those are to players?
I mean, it's hilarious when we get guys sign a minimum contract or get traded here in the middle of the season. It's like, hey, you got like 6 numbers to choose from, and none of them are traditional numbers, and it's, we're gonna, my goal there is let's be good enough for long enough that we don't have enough left. Let's just get them all up there and make it all so special. But I see the Florida Panthers jersey.
Hell yeah.
Congratulations to you. That was a night, huh?
Hell yeah. Great night.
There you go.
First one. 17-4.
Tatum, Tatum and Kachuk, Chaminade High School in St. Louis.
Hell yeah.
Pretty good class a few years ago.
How'd you feel about the boys heading down to Miami immediately after winning? Flight is at noon to Miami. How'd you feel about that?
I got the old, hey, you want to go? I said, nope, I'm good. Pat, I am an Indiana guy that has grown to love the Northeast. I'm good.
Hey, our type of Caucasian skin burns quick down there in Miami.
Quick.
Yeah. Smart decision. Because you had that parade right around. Hey, man, that parade was epic. I assume you guys knew that while you were in the middle of it. You were looking around going, holy shit, this has got to be one of the greatest parades of all time. It was. It was awesome.
Man, I'll tell you, we turned the corner onto Causeway Street. We were underneath the Garden, and we come up the ramp and turn the corner onto Causeway Street. And to see the mass of people, to see people, every walk of life, every age, all wearing Celtics gear, all smiling, all happy, all together, and think about all the world's been through in the last 5 years. Just to see that was super special, to see them all wearing Celtics gear and celebrating this team. That of all the things, like I think winning it had, you move on to the next day, you try to get better, you try to do it again, whatever. But man, that parade will be maybe the most memorable part of the experience for me. It was unbelievable.
Sports are amazing. There's nothing else on earth except for, I guess, Taylor Swift. If Taylor Swift comes to town, you could have one of these moments where
my daughter would agree with that.
Yeah. My wife. I mean, literally everybody that we know. But whenever those parades happen, it is like a celebration of a city. Like, look what we did. It's a beautiful thing. Can't wait to see how South Florida does.
Sunday.
Florida Panthers. You got to follow Boston.
Yeah, A1A. We'll have the beach in the background.
Oh,
A1A,
smart.
It'll be beautiful.
Yeah, of course.
Have you found the ring though? Has Jaylen Brown found his pinky ring or?
Yeah, coach, how we figuring
it out? I can't keep track of everything.
Draft. AJ's got the last question for you here, Brad.
Coach, when you look at your roster, you guys have a great mix, I think. Obviously, some vets giving you huge minutes and huge plays for you, Horford and Holiday and everyone else. Like, when you're putting a roster together, how important is it to have not only vets that are playing, but also some vets, that maybe don't get as much time, just to kind of help the young guys along and kind of teach people what it means to be a pro?
Yeah, I think the right vets, AJ, are really important. And I think, I'm 47 now, so the older we get, the more self-awareness we gain. And I think, kind of how you fit, what's important, what really matters, being a part of a team, being able to communicate that, I'm willing to give a little bit for the benefit of the team. I think if you look at 30-plus-year-olds in the league, you'd be hard-pressed to find any people better to lead a group than Al Horford and Drew Holiday. Incredible players, but just totally selfless, willing to do whatever it takes, play both ends of the floor, and I think are great role models for not only our players, but our G League affiliates and really every other kid that wants to aspire to be a part of a team and be part of something bigger than themselves. And so, that to me is what a vet can bring to the table. It's not always easy as people transition to later on in their career to not have the same individual responsibility that they once had. And so some guys struggle to let go of that. And we're just lucky that our guys still do it at a high level, and they're also willing to give. That sets a tone.
Don't you think Drew Holiday was way too old to be playing the defense that he was playing? More specifically against the Pacers.
What?
That he was playing right here in India.
Hey,
what?
The Pacers were really good.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
No, listen. I said today we could have come back to Boston down 3-1.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we were there.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah, we were there, Rad.
They had a heck of a team. I thought Drew was unbelievable the whole playoffs, but that game 3 where he had the and one on Siakam and then took the ball in transition, I think it was from Nembhard at the end.
Yep. Happy you have a great memory, dude. All right, happy you have that's really good news. That should serve you well.
Hey, I was a kid. It was nothing. I was the most excited person on our whole travel party that we were going to play Saturday night race weekend and then play game 4 Monday. That was when I was a kid. It was Pacers, Knicks, race weekend, Eastern Conference Finals, and those were like the best weekends of ever. So it was cool to be on the other side
and ruin it. Yeah, ruin it. Yeah, trying to ruin it. Yeah, you did great. Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate it. Hey, congratulations on all the success. Obviously, everybody here in Indiana loves you, is incredibly proud of you, and hopefully next year you guys lose to the Pacers. All right, we appreciate you so much, man. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right, guys, be well. Thanks.
And also, thank you for the heads up that the draft is tomorrow.
Yeah, huge.
We knew that. We knew that. We knew that. We're a sports show. We knew that. Ladies and gentlemen, President of Basketball Ops, Brad Stevens.
Huge draft tomorrow.
Huge.
I thought we were doing a show for it, like the NFL draft.
Yeah, AJ, I think you're hosting, right?
Yeah.
AJ's hosting it live from the...
Tune in.
Yeah, live from the attic.
That's right. Greg Popovich is sitting with him in the attic, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll actually... Yeah,
Look at these names. We could pronounce the names.
Yeah, there's the kid. He's also French.
Who?
He's got studs.
We know Clean Cone.
Zacher.
Yeah, we do know Queen Cone. Yeah, he's
We know Dalton Connect.
Nah, yeah, but dude, Matas Boozless.
Yeah, boozless is good.
Whenever your booze full, good times. You're boozless, you're getting buckets.
That's right.
That's what Matas is all about. That's Matas football, baby.
That's also not real. Okay, they just took Nikola Jokic and changed the J to a T. This guy's he's available.
Nikola Topic.
Got an Emmy situation.
How about the Connect? That's a dude in Tennessee.
That's Tennessee's guy, yeah.
Oh, he's a dog.
Yeah, he's going top 10.
You know Steph Castle.
Klingon are both UConn guys.
Yeah, but when you talk about Alexandre Sarr, I mean, you're talking about a guy who gets to the paint, gets his shot, and then smacks the wood on the way back.
That's right. Yeah.
Next one.
Joining us right now is a man whose voice played over a historic evening last night in Omaha, Nebraska. The Tennessee Volunteers won their first ever World Series, and a man calling it is a baseball icon. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Ravitch.
All right, Pat, boys, how are you guys doing?
I want to let you know, immediately after COVID, you were one of the first voices we heard because you were covering the baseball in
Korea.
Yeah, you were one of the first voices of sports post-COVID. So it's great to get a chance to chat with you here. Great to get a chance to chat. Remember they had all the sex dolls lined up behind home plate? And you guys had to act like you didn't see them? And then we're watching baseball with the dinosaurs and the whole thing.
Is that what those were? Sex dolls? I didn't know what the heck they were.
Yeah, you guys did a fantastic job talking around it because all we were
I'll tell you one thing, Pat, too. Since then, we've been back there. Like we didn't see any sex dolls, but we opened the season over there, with the Dodgers and the Padres and the whole Ohtani gambling thing. So we were in Korea for that, too.
Well, you guys do a fantastic job. We appreciate the hell out of you. And Omaha seems to be the place to be during this World Series. Last night, Texas A&M and Tennessee in their third game in the best-of-3 series to decide the World Series champion lived up to hype. Is that the right way to describe the game last night? And could you feel it all throughout the day that was going to be the situation?
Yeah, look, I mean, college baseball is becoming more and more popular. We had a game 3 last year. The final score was 18-4. LSU had Paul Skeens hanging around. Like, they didn't even need him in that game. So sometimes, you get a break that each team has pitchers available. This thing is such a long slog for these guys. Tennessee played over 70 baseball games. They won 60 of them. I mean, that's how dominant they were. And they have superstar players like the guy you're watching there. Christian Moore is going to be a major league player within the next couple of years. Leads off the bottom of the first for the Vols with a homer. It's a sport that's on fire, and part of that's seen right there with Barnes and Heupel and Manning. It's contagious, and the SEC, which you know really well, has taken to it. It's not only Arkansas, Alabama, it's Kentucky basketball. It's all these schools in baseball. Kentucky was at the College World Series this year. They were nothing years ago, and here they are at the College World Series. It is getting bigger. NIL helps a lot, and the SEC is a dang powerhouse. They've won 7 of the last 8 of these things. Do you believe their first one was in 1990? That's their first one. Feels like they win every year now, but the first one was Georgia in 1990.
And for me, I didn't really pay attention enough to college baseball. I don't think I didn't play baseball. I'm from Pittsburgh. The Pirates were terrible until LSU legend Paul Skeens gets to town and lights up the entire sport over there for Pittsburgh, reignites Pirates fans. But I think it was post-COVID. Once again, post-COVID. I think Ole Miss hit a dinger and I saw their entire outfield lose their shit. And I was like, wait a minute. I did not know this was possible in baseball. It feels like the South, it's different down there. And now they're starting to rally and win every single title. Ty, massive baseball fan and fan of yours, has a question for you.
Yeah, Carl, why do you think that the College World Series, and I know you also do the Little League World Series, like why do you think that is so much more special than like a Sunday night baseball game between the Yankees and the Red Sox in like the middle of July? It just feels different, I think, even for the average fan. Like, if you had to kind of encapsulate that, why would you say that those are more special than just like a massive big league matchup?
Well, I'd answer it by, just listening to your question kind of suggested it, a Sunday night regular season game in July when you try to have the two best teams on, whether it's the Phillies or the Braves or the Dodgers. Like in that case, we're chasing the teams. In the case of Little League World Series, College World Series, that becomes binge viewing for about a week and a half, and literally, like everybody consumes content now, you can watch a series in 10 days, meaning a series of a show. You watch Ozarks and you're done in a week. In this case, you're watching these two events, and you get to know the people, you get to know the players, and it ends in a championship. That's the goal of all of us that do this stuff. You want to end with a dang championship, and if you can call a championship, people are invested in that a lot more than they would be, a regular season game, whether it be a Sunday night game with marquee teams or anyone else. It ends with a trophy. That's the most important thing. And with regards to college, the passion that those fan bases have, right? We have two major league groups right now in sports. We have the major leagues, and I don't mean baseball, I mean professional sports, and we have professional college team. Those teams have the massive fan bases. Pat, you see them every weekend. You know what that's like. They just keep reintroducing themselves. Another group of freshmen come in. We're with Tennessee. Another group comes 5 years from now. So this stuff just feeds on itself, and that's why the college game is different. And the South is very different than a New York on a Sunday night. They love their sports. The college thing is different. I grew up in Massachusetts. You grew up in Pittsburgh. College sports weren't huge. I've come to appreciate how big they are.
Amen. And it's the entire thing. It's the experience. It's the
100%.
It's the entertainment value. It's a religion for these people because
it really is.
Their fodder. Their fodder's fodder. There's fodder's fodder has been sitting in this exact seat doing this for so long, and so it's all they know at some of these places, and it is fantastic to watch. Now, you talk about professional college teams. That leads to what Coach Paisan said from Tennessee the other day. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I know Coach took an exception to an NIL question a couple weeks back, and he talked about how stars are staying in college baseball because of NIL. Do you think the popularity of the College World Series is because more people are staying in college baseball because of NIL? And then I know a big thing, like when we were coming out of high school, was if you were getting drafted out of high school, a lot of guys were going to play in the minors strictly because you were getting a paycheck. Now, are a lot more guys now going to college because you get a paycheck going to college instead of just going to the minors?
It's interesting. I think college baseball for years, and Major League Baseball recognized it. College baseball, the premier programs, prepared kids for Major League Baseball probably better than the minor leagues did. And certainly in the last couple of years, what you can get from a college baseball program when it comes to coaching, when it comes to all the machines, the TrackMans, et cetera, that they use, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to travel, when it comes to competition. You have now seen, Skeens is just one example. Wyatt Langford last year was in the College World Series for Florida. He's on the opening day roster in the opening day lineup for the Rangers because they are so prepared. They face dudes. There was a guy this weekend throwing 101 miles an hour on average. Yeah. I mean, this is on average. So you're getting everything that you want and likely at a higher level than you were at the minor leagues. Major League Baseball is trying to address it, but I think that has to do with it. The NIL has to do with it. The exposure has to do with it. And look, there's a lot of people. If I could stay in college for 3 more years, I'd do that too.
Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Carl, not to switch gears, but I'm a diehard Yankees fan. You've obviously had them on Sunday Night Baseball a couple times this year. With how popular the College World Series is, like around this time of year, and we see like the NHL, their ratings are going through the roof. Do you think with the changes that have been made to baseball, and when you got a team like the Yankees who are exciting, they got 5 guys in the lineup who could hit a 500-foot home run in any at bat.
Right.
Do you think we're kind of getting to a tipping point where more people are starting to watch the MLB as opposed to just an afterthought? It's too boring. The games take too long. Do you think the pitch clock and everything they're doing, and guys like Judge and Ohtani, and Skeens now, obviously, do you think that's starting to kind of change the way people, younger people especially, are viewing baseball?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. When we went to the 7-inning doubleheaders post-COVID, you'd be shocked once we started to say we're going to get away from 7-inning doubleheaders, how many players, and I mean big-name players, would say to me, I love the 7-inning doubleheader. The game had gotten stale. It had gotten slow. It had gotten boring. There weren't balls in play. There was no action. The Yankees, when Aaron Boone had a bunch of guys go down, the team changed. They actually did put this. It was a more exciting brand of baseball. Juan Soto puts the ball in play. They're a little more athletic, and there's more athletes coming. We're doing the Orioles on Sunday night against the Rangers, and we do these little cartoons leading into these games. The cartoon's going to be about. Isn't it about time that we got rid of the adult table and the kids table? These birds, the baby birds have shown they can swim in the deep end. They can handle a splash party. It's a young man's game now, and it's more athletic. The answer to your question emphatically is a yes. All the changes are making a big difference, and it helps a lot.
I mean, these guys are throwing gas, Carl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everybody, what, a guy at 105, what was it, the athletics guy? No, who was the guy?
Yeah,
Mason
Miller throws about 104.
And they're saying Skeens is only going to get faster.
He'll get stronger and faster and better. I mean, that's the beautiful part about all these athletes. They get better, especially the young ones. That's why it's a young man's game. The best part about Skeens is I saw that thing on X yesterday. He's sitting there in a boat with Livy and living his best life in the Allegheny River. Who's living better than Paul Skeens is?
Well, you don't want to get in that water, Paul. I'm sure everybody told him that.
That's exactly.
Yeah, 'cause in that photo, it was Livy, Paul Skeens, and 4 dead people floating in the river behind him. That's classic Allegheny River football right there. But I appreciate that Paul Skeens is like the perfect guy for Pittsburgh to bring him back as well. He's electric.
But again,
he's lived up to the hype, and he is humble as shit, and his mustache in Pittsburgh loved. So everything, he's doing huge things for baseball in Pittsburgh, a city that was once very proudful of being a baseball town. He's one guy is single-handedly bringing back a lot of Yinzers. It's a beautiful thing for the sport, I think, Carl.
They love Yinzers. Pat, we were there when, was it Cueto who dropped the ball during the wild card? And Cueto. I know how great Pittsburgh baseball can be. What Skeens is also doing is letting everyone know, again, he was pitching at the College World Series last year. He may be the best pitcher in the major leagues right now. He's in the top 5. You go from college to the pros, and that guy is as dominant and overpowering as anybody we have. So there's just not that much distinction between the premier programs in college and a major league team like the Pirates. He's that damn good, and it shows why college baseball is so popular.
That's good news for Omaha. I think
no kidding.
Hey, how about we've never been? Obviously, we have to make our way there. I think McGee has tried to force us to go.
I saw McGee tell you that. Yeah, you should go.
Okay, all right. So you saw it. Everybody got the same. I thought he was forcing us to go publicly, say, "Hey, you guys go right here," and then people would do it. And the college baseball community kind of told us we need to go, but it wasn't really an overwhelming amount of yeah, you have to go. But after watching it and seeing it, and then the behind-the-scenes footage in this Rocco's place, I have no idea how much booze they sell, but it seems like it's an immense amount. That's a hosting city. Omaha is because we live here in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a hosting city. Everybody at the bar knows that there's going to be out-of-town drunks here. You just got to handle it. In some cities, that's not great. Omaha, I've never heard a bad word about it being the host of the World Series, and it seems like everybody gets shit-faced and has a great time. Is that an accurate description? It seems like Omaha might be one of the best towns in America.
Well, for a lot of reasons. They open their arms to this event. It's been there since 1950. It used to be at Rosenblatt Stadium. The guy that owns Paulie's Bar. Paulie's Bar was the most famous bar in sports for a while when it was at the College World Series at Rosenblatt. And Paulie and his wife Karen are very much involved. I think you talk about NIL deals. I think they're trying to get him. They're trying to pay him to open up another bar downtown and just name it Paulie's. I said, shit, that's an NIL deal. They want to use your name, image, and likeness.
License it.
You don't have to do anything. It's unbelievable. The people are great. The food scene is great. And when you go there, you don't generally go for a day. I mean, they know they're going there. And if you're Tennessee, if you're LSU, they buy tickets and go whether their team is there or not, hoping and thinking that they're going to be good enough to get there. It's always a scene. And when you have SEC teams there, it's even better. And we've had like 11 different winners the last 12 years. And the SEC has not had a repeat winner. The last 6 years, it's a different SEC team. It's a home run. I saw the commissioner this morning. He was getting on a plane. It's a no-lose situation for Greg Sankey and the SEC, and it's only getting better and bigger. It's cool. You would like it. You guys would really like it.
All right, we'll have to go. We won't do the show. We'll go experience it, though.
Hell yeah.
You know, I would rather not work. I'd rather go and live a little bit. I'd rather have a Morgan Wall and Peyton Manning even than a Carl Ravage even. No offense. You are absolutely.
No offense taken.
Yeah, you got to work and be with it. I think we need to be.
Yeah. With the people.
Yeah, boozed up out there. It sounds like a blast. And Sankey, he's never going to be in a losing situation ever.
No.
Greg Sankey, that guy,
Dog.
weapon. You want to go back to COVID years. I mean, that's where we learned of Greg Sankey. And he said, that's cute, Big Ten, Pac-12. You guys aren't playing football, huh? We are. And we're going to fill up these stadiums too. Well, you're not allowed to. Well, of course, they'll be 6 feet apart.
We were at the SEC basketball tournament. That was the morning of the end of the SEC basketball tournament, and we had a 20-minute interview with Sankey about the decision to pull the plug. They already had played games. The teams were on the court warming up, and we interviewed him about the decision to shut it down. And as you all know, and everybody does, no one knew what this meant. Are we coming back tomorrow? And what are we doing?
No,
he was the first guy we talked to.
March Madness was delayed. Remember, it was delayed.
Yeah.
It was only going to be a couple weeks. And then I think our first vivid sports memory, was it Utah?
In OKC, yeah.
Was it Utah in OKC? Where
Utah was the
MC. People are in there for the game. People are in there for the game.
Yeah.
We need everybody to exit the arena immediately. What? Please stay calm. Get the hell out of here ASAP. And you hear people, whoa, yelling, and it's like, what are we witnessing here? And then March Madness is delayed, and then all of a sudden all we had was, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert obviously had a different, I assume he
We were in a restaurant that night. We watched Rudy Gobert at his press conference, and we knew. We said, we're in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. And the next morning we go there, and they're warming up, and all of a sudden the whole thing ends, and Calipari gets on a bus, and everybody just didn't know what to do. But that was the morning we were about to set. I think it was a noon tip-off, and this is probably 11:20 in the morning, and they said we're done.
So I don't want to do this brainstorm right now, but obviously COVID, terrible. We can't. Lost so many people and everything that take place and the ripple effects of what's taking place to people. And how about the juniors and seniors in high school who their actual life is the internet, because that was what they didn't have real life. They didn't have it. But I think people grew up like an appreciation for going to live events. Like, I think that's why our sports and our attendance for things is through, like, I think people are more likely to go live right now than ever before. So obviously you have to try to find a silver lining in everything. I think because we had the withoutness of sports and events for so long, now it's made everything even bigger and better. That's why we have Florida Panthers games being sold out in the way that they are, why Omaha is the way it is, why all ratings for sports and attendance and everything is through the roof. I think the world needed something that unified us and brought us together, and your voice does that a lot for us. So we appreciate the hell out of you for joining us, Carl, and we hope you have a phenomenal rest of the baseball season. Who's going to win it? What do we need to pay attention? Act like you're somebody who only watches when Paul Skeens throws. Okay, that would be me. What do I need to pay attention to are the Pirates actually going to maybe go here? What teams?
I was gonna lead with not Paul Skeens' team yet. No, you don't need to. I mean, it's a Paul Skeens day. Watch him pitch. What you got to need to watch out for are the Orioles and the Phillies and the Yankees and the Dodgers and maybe the Braves. Those are the 5 teams that would likely win. I'd take those 5 teams over the field.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. I'm going to try to catch
and I'll talk baseball with you guys. The questions that we got were great. I'll talk baseball with you anytime you want.
Carl, you've been with ESPN since 1993.
Oh, yeah.
We just assumed you hated us. Because everybody else that had that amount of time certainly has that under their belt. We appreciate you so much for making time. Great call last night, ladies and gentlemen. How about old buddy dodging catcher? What a move.
I heard you guys talking about that. He and you said, why the hell don't you run the guy over? He was a quarterback. And he learned how to avoid getting tackled as opposed to, he's not the big quarterback. He needed to avoid it. And Hunter Hensley made an unbelievable play to go on the inside of that bag. And it was his football skills that helped him. That's one of the things we hear a lot about, guys, is these coaches tell you, don't just play one sport, play a lot. And his football background is what helped him make that play right there.
No, Carl, there's a bunch of these specialized camps that, they charge thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and say you'll get a scholarship, and also don't be a better athlete and play any other sport, Carl. Remember, that's happening right now.
Oh, I know it's happening. You should have heard. I was with Chris Burke, who, of course, played for the Astros, and he does the games with us in Omaha. He was so pissed off about his 8U team trying to play as many games they could in the summer when he's like, dude, take the summer off. Just play minimal games. Go back in the fall. Don't burn these kids out. You talk to major leaguers. You talk to college coaches, major league coaches. They are so into the multi-sport athlete. Learn how to skate. Learn how to kick a soccer ball. Learn how to juggle. Punt a football. All of those things help you in baseball. All of them.
Love all those things. Yeah.
Punting, Carl?
Yeah, punting. Yeah, because you got to catch a snap. You got to see the laces. Yeah, holding too.
Hit a golf ball. Whatever. Go play pickleball.
Okay. Watch the knees, though. They're saying people are blowing their knees out. Ladies and gentlemen, legend Carl Ravitch. Thank you, buddy. He's like voice of baseball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I spent a lot of late nights on Baseball Tonight with Carl Ravitch growing up.
Oh, wait. He has one last thing. Carl, sorry. I thought we were wasting your time.
I know. I just wanted to say I am sorry to hear about your father-in-law. I heard about that on the ride this afternoon, so sorry to hear about that.
Hey, well, I appreciate you mentioning that, and obviously these types of things put life into perspective quickly, and I would like to let you know in return, we appreciate the hell out of everything you've done for baseball, sport, and for our program here today, Carl. You're the man. Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Ravitch.
Good to be with you guys.
Thank you. That is a wild thing. Whenever something like that takes place, there's obviously a lot of chaos and devastation, and my wife is an absolute badass. She had to make a lot of decisions yesterday quickly, and the way she handled it all was, I'm nothing short of proud. And then her mom, obviously. So Sam's an only child, so the family, obviously just the three of them. So there was a lot of things, and Aunt Kathy was there. It was a wild scene, and obviously today this particular program has helped me out immensely. I'm about to go head back to my wife. There's a lot of decisions that have to be made now. Like as we're walking out of there, it's like things that I've never even known have to happen, have to take place. It's like obviously that has to happen. This decision has to be made. You got to figure out whether you want to do this or this. And it's like, holy hell, a lot of things are coming here quickly. And my wife has kicked ass. And let's remind, ourselves through these types of situations to tell people you appreciate them. And you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I think a lot of us kind of get into the mundane of the routine and just expect things to continue to go the way they are. I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll be able to do this. Tonight I'll do this. Then tomorrow it'll be this. And then the next day it'll be this and this. I'll catch up with this person at this time. Maybe next year I'll get back to this. You never know. You literally have no idea. On Friday, we thought my father-in-law was going to be discharged. On Monday, we find out he's unresponsive out of nowhere. And it's just like that is a true reality adjustment about what is real and what is not. And in this world, it can all change immediately. So I appreciate the hell out of everybody that allows us to do this every day. I appreciate all you, obviously, for being able to work alongside of you.
Appreciate you.
And I will be back tomorrow with another program, chit-chatting about what's going on in the sport. Obviously, we're off next week, celebrating the holiday, but you all are the greatest people on earth for allowing us to do this every day. I heard the Y86 had a box for me last night.
They did.
They did.
Didn't look like good
So that wasn't Foxy then? That was doing that stuff on our show?
Apparently.
I don't know.
Well,
No, it wasn't.
Unless Foxy's part of it.
Could be.
Maybe a little bit with Foxy. Foxy might be on their side.
I'm on your guys' side. You know that.
We'll see.
He walked in this morning and his eyes were just like.
What else
white.
would he say?
Yeah, I don't know what else. That's something that somebody that was a part of it would say.
You were acting all weird last night, Fox.
What am I supposed to say then? I'm on your team.
You were wearing antlers
Tell the
last night.
truth.
Yeah.
Why were you wearing antlers
Just
last
be
night?
honest.
Get a lie detector machine.
He had to leave actually conveniently right before the Y6 came out.
Yeah, because all the boys went to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Great show.
It's a great show.
Okay, sweet. I'll catch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it all. I'm going to see where Foxy goes whenever.
Yeah,
I told Cole not to open it.
Yeah, don't even touch it. We said there might be anthrax or something on it.
Yeah, Talk's brain almost exploded.
Talk was going through it back there.
What?
Is he okay?
He's a special human.
Yeah.
I think that's his
Check on
last. Might be his last WWE event.
Whoa. What do you mean?
Felt like maybe,
I don't
maybe
think
the
he's
one
the only
before
one.
that could have been his last one too.
What?
When I saw his name on the list of people that were going, I was certainly surprised. Wow, all right, we got Talk going again. He had a WrestleMania experience where they were talking about
Yes, he
somebody
did.
battling through cancer and him and Mitt are in the back.
Oh, no.
I was like, boys, read the room just for 1 second. They're like, read. I
don't know how.
What? It's not a room. We're in a stadium.
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
That's Mania, baby.
WrestleMania 40.
That's Mania, baby.
All right, tell your people you love them. Please do it. Honestly, it is 100% worth it. And if you have any grudges, you might as well get rid of them. Because in the end, are you gonna hold on? No. At some point, you're gonna say that was stupid. Let's move along. Make that point now. We appreciate you. Be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. We're back here tomorrow, and I'm gonna make sure got clean cheeks through this whole process.
Hell yeah.
Right. You do what?
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Got friends at Dude Wipes. Available at Costco.com, I do believe.
Nice.
Yeah, some Costco's. Remember, they're in like Alaska.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Select Costco's.
How's that?
I got an email like, we've gotten into a couple Costco's. We're also at Costco.com. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sick. Which Costco's you get into? I'll go buy one of these boxes, support the biz. We're in Alaska.
Hawaii.
Holy shit, there's a far Costco.
North Dakota.
Okay, you're in far. Shout out to Dude Wipes. They've been an incredible partner since they've joined us. Same with SeatGeek. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life, legitimately. We're in this thing together. Team on me. Team on three. 1, 2, 3. Team. Goodbye.